to y'all and ready for a big week and ready for game 2 tomorrow night. Game 1 didn't go like we planned.
Plenty of Grizzlies to talk about, and we'll get into it. First out of our show brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. As far as guests are concerned, 4 o'clock, David Cobb joins us, CBS Sports, on some college football and some college basketball. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole from the CA to talk about the Grizzlies. Grizzlies in action tomorrow night at 7:30 for Game 2. But we have a lot of Grizzlies to get to. Lose 130-117 to the Timberwolves in Game 1. Again, back rolling tomorrow. We also recap all the Game 1s around 5:30 after we talk with DeMichael. Plenty to get to there. Some injury news to update you on. Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, plenty there. Also, Tigers take more and more hits in the transfer portal this weekend. Amani Bates and Tyler Harris. And there's one... obviously, Amani Bates, not surprising. Tyler Harris, certainly surprising and particularly concerning because of what he said on the way out. He released a statement on Twitter and said it was not his choice to leave the University of Memphis. And we know what he meant to this year's team, ending up in the second round of the NCAA tournament. He was more or less the team MVP, the guy who stepped up as a walk-on in his return to Memphis, but he will be heading elsewhere next season. At the same time, there were two notable in-conference transfers that visited Memphis this weekend. Kendrick Davis from SMU and Caleb Murphy from South Florida. That one sort of went under the radar because of Kendrick Davis being on campus. A lot of people want Kendrick Davis. Kendrick Davis one more year. Was the ACC Player of the Year, offensive guy. I mean, he's been unbelievable at SMU. But Caleb Murphy as well was on campus. Also, we had our first weekend of USFL, which I know Brett was super in tune to. I saw 3 million viewers on their Sunday broadcast. So that was something. I got to see some of my buddies play, too. Got to see Joey Magnifico. Paxton got in for a second after Shea Patterson decided to fumble the ball away for a scoop and score. But Paxton didn't last long in there. Didn't look great.
About 3.5 overall. All venues for Saturday, but Saturday night it was on 2 different networks. It was on NBC and on Fox, but about 3.5 million viewers across everything, and that beat the NBA.
I only caught on Sunday. Got to see my friends Michigan Panthers. They lost 17-12. Shea Patterson, good Lord, to start the game. And I know how you feel.
Welcome
about
to my
Shea.
world, Shea Patterson. Goodness
Shea.
gracious.
The fumble, he had a fumble. It looked like bad news Bears play out there. Fumbled. It was a scoop and score. They brought in Paxton. Paxton fumbled and threw a pick. USFL is in some weird times too, with the XFL coming at the same time. Well, next year the XFL will be around, and The Rock has done some things as far as
now. Every one of these startup leagues, including the AAF, they have big blockbuster opening weekends, and then it can't ever be sustained. We'll see.
It seems so hard for the USFL to sustain, considering the circumstances of the XFL launching next year. And it just seems like a better opportunity for all these guys because the XFL has a strategic partnership with the NFL Alumni Association where they can actually be reserves for an NFL team. The NFL can go in and pick these guys out. It seems like the XFL would be the way to go, but I don't know. We did have the first weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. AutoZone listener line 901-360-8255. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Sports56WHBQ on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and at Sports56WHBQ.com. Brett, I have to bring this up with you to start. I was talking to my dad. I've been to 2 proposal parties, I guess is what you would term them these days. The past 2 weekends. Was that when you were growing up, when all your friends got to that age, was that a thing?
No, and if it was, they did the proposal, and then maybe we had a party, but we didn't go to the party with the proposal being the centerpiece of the party because I know it's very rarely does it happen. But what if she said no?
That would be uncomfortable.
Wouldn't be a very good party.
Now, these past 2 weekends, I haven't been in a situation
might be a hell of a party if
where
she
the
said
fellas
no.
were going to get said no to. So that they sort of knew what they were heading into.
Rarely does anybody get no, whether it's the big public at the stadium or however they're doing it, or if you're doing it in the solitude of.
Oh, hold up! If you do it at a public stadium and get no'd, you have another thing
I don't
coming.
think anybody
That's
ever has been told no.
That's
well, you kind of know the answer to that before you ever
should
ask it, don't you?
You should. But it's kind of the 21st century, the proposal party, just like gender reveals,
I'm
and
pro
everything
party.
else.
That's great.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's a great time. I found
But no,
that
I've never
interesting.
been-
Talking to my pops about it, he said absolutely not. That's
No.
why does that
No.
why do y'all
And
celebrate that?
No gender reveal. Hey, we're having a baby. Great. Congratulations. When's it due? Oh, about 8-9 months
And
from now.
some of the-
I'll be sure and get you a gift.
Some of the gender reveal stuff is pretty ridiculous too. They got them shooting baskets. They got them throwing pitches to them.
Well, I don't mind intrigue. That's great. If you want to go to the bowling alley and see if you hit the 8 pin, you know.
I went to a gender reveal party. It must have been 3-4 months ago, where a guy he's a big bow and arrow, big bow and arrow guy basically, and they released one balloon. They had a backup balloon in case he missed, and sure as hell he missed the first one.
Oh,
So they had to
man.
release the second one. He finally got it, and it was a boy. It was a boy.
You know what the gender reveal parties were like in my day? You were at the hospital and
got
the
to the
dad walked
hospital,
out and said
yeah.
it's a boy or it's a girl.
Yeah.
That was, oh, wow, great.
That seems to
You're
make
having-
sense.
If it's a boy, rush home, paint the room blue. If it's a girl, rush home, paint the room pink.
They get that done way in advance these days. There's very few people that wait to see the gender until they get to the hospital.
I know a young couple that had their first child around around Christmas, and they did. They waited. They told the obstetrics and all the people at the office, do not let us know. Of course, if you see that ultrasound, pretty easy to tell.
Yeah. They have things these
I know
days.
that's kind of become a debate now too, but I still can tell.
Well, yeah, and also the other good news about two proposals in back-to-back weekends. Taylor and I are actually celebrating our 7th anniversary as a couple today, believe it or not. So I had some eyes staring through the side of my head this
Brian,
weekend.
I've got the calendar cleared for the proposal party, don't you?
I do. I'm just waiting for the
Proposal
official
party.
announcement
Brian's
Gabe,
Brian's going to be the photographer. He's going to pop
Yeah.
out of
the
God
bushes.
knows where and take all the pictures for us. It'll be great.
I'm ready. I
Maybe
got
I'll
the
take the
calendar
pictures from the
cleared, Gabe.
bushes. You'll
No
never know 'em
pressure
there.
at all I'm putting on you.
All right, Grizzlies, Timberwolves. Time to get to that.
There you
Timberwolves
go.
take the 1-0 lead, and they win 130-117. And the issue I saw,
It was easy.
The issue I saw was the Grizzlies usually get up and they punch people in the mouth first quarter and in the first half. The Grizzlies sort of took punches and didn't really become the aggressor until about halfway through the second quarter, and then it never really sustained itself.
Got a little late.
And defensively, you're not going to win many games if you give up 130 points and let Anthony Edwards do what he did all night. Also, you didn't get any contribution at all as far as what he normally does from Steven Adams. And I thought overwhelmingly the one thing I noticed offensively from the Grizzlies in this game, they don't have another guy that they can lean on consistently to go get a bucket besides Ja Morant. And Ja tried to dish the ball out early, tried to get everybody involved early. It didn't work, so he became an aggressor for the rest of the game.
He had to, and that start quickly kind of the first punch landed by Minnesota. It created a little bit of a pall, kind of a forced, nervous energy in the building. The building was good leading up to tip, and then that was kind of it for the rest of the day. And Anthony Edwards clearly on Saturday distinguished himself as the best player under the roof of FedEx Forum.
He was. And defensively, they didn't really decide. The Grizzlies didn't decide what they wanted to do with him. I mean, they tried everybody. They tried everybody on him, and I don't know really what the answer is. You tried Zaire at times on him. You tried Dylan Brooks. He just got whatever the hell he wanted whenever the hell he wanted. Also, Karl Anthony Towns got whatever
Brooks
he
gave
wanted.
the best effort on him.
Yeah, and I think that's going forward. That's who you're going to have to count on.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is you run into this situation where Dylan Brooks chasing around all day, chasing around Anthony Edwards, trying to give all that
Tough
energy
task.
on the defensive end. On the offensive end, you need Dylan Brooks to be your secondary creator. You need him to have some energy on the offensive end because Ja Morant, I don't know how sustainable it is running deep into the playoffs to have Ja Morant as your only creator.
Do you go into tomorrow night when we will ask Michael Cole this, and we want your opinion at the AutoZone text line 901-360-8255. get in the zone at AutoZone. Do the Grizzlies need to change their strategy and maybe tack it back a little bit? Maybe want to only win playing the game in the 1-teens, 113, 114, 115, because the higher you go, can they stay with them?
Yeah, and that's the thing with this Timberwolves team we knew about. Cat, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Edwards can fill it up.
And
they
then
can score.
Malik Beasley hits you.
Yeah, but they take and make the most threes. They needed to cover the three-point line a whole lot better, and they needed to shoot better. And we knew that going into the series, but to see it in action the way it was, you had Dylan Brooks 3 for 4 from 3, Desmond Bane 3 for 8 from 3. The only other person on the team to even hit one, and he only hit one, was Tyus Jones. You didn't get anything from DeAnthony Melton. You didn't get anything.
Nothing from Zaire.
From Zaire. You didn't get anything in the way of three-point shooting from Jaren Jackson, who was in foul trouble constantly and never really got his role
Good
going.
defensive game. And not much of a defensive game for the home team.
But they need to find more ways to get their shooting going, and I don't know what that is, because you've seen DeAnthony Melton now in 2 playoff series. You've seen him in this game, and you've seen him last year against the Jazz, and he hasn't quite shown up. He's never shown up in these type of games. And maybe that changes. It could change. Certainly you're going to give him his minutes, give him his opportunities. But I think when it comes to playoff basketball and DeAnthony Melton, he kind of is what he is at this moment.
Here's who didn't beat the Grizzlies on Saturday. It was not Patrick Beverley, but he is in our collective heads.
Yeah. I guess I understand that. He did make some timely shots down the stretch, I thought. Patrick Beverley, whenever he hits a three or makes anything,
kind of bonus.
It's always timely. But I'll say the one person who didn't kill him was D'Angelo Russell, who absolutely during the year was the main source of offense for the Timberwolves. But moving forward in this series, I think this is where you learn a lot about Taylor Jenkins as a coach. This is where you learn if he is a playoff coach, if he has the chops. What do you do from game 1 to game 2 in the way of adjustments, especially defensively, to make the Timberwolves score less than 130 points? That's what you have to answer. And I thought there was one point, the challenge he took on Zaire Williams under the basket, and the block versus charge foul. I thought at best it should have been a no call. I think it was certainly a block, but the challenge there was very unfortunate because later there was a foot out of bounds that could have been challenged and reversed. So Taylor Jenkins is going to have to show us what he is in this situation.
It is. It is step up time, because that everybody can say it a million times all together now. This is how the Grizzlies started last year against Utah, and that ended 4-1. We all know that. Mm-hmm. We all know it was just one game, but it was a big one game.
Mm-hmm. There's no reason. There's no, by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think there's like this big, grand conspiracy situation where you have to start pushing the emergency, push the panic button. It's fine. If they go down 2-0, though, Brett, it's certainly not fine. It is not okay.
Oh, it's pulled fire alarms
to travel to Minnesota down 2-0 to this team in particular.
8 games over the weekend, 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. Only 2 home teams lose. The other one was Dallas, Luka-less, with their superstar out. And on Saturday, the Grizzlies, they had the full complement of everybody. I don't think it was Russ, but it was the first big game that they had really played in a long time.
They didn't really play like themselves. I feel like they played.
Sure didn't.
They played
didn't feel
in a
right.
shell. They played a little uncomfortable. They played.
It felt awkward all day.
And it's weird because we alluded to this, but we didn't think of it this way. It almost felt like they were playing with something to lose. It almost felt that way because they are the 2 seed. They are the hunted. They played differently.
But not tight, but different, wasn't it? It wasn't tight, but it was different.
They played a little bit differently. I thought in certain situations it was a little bit tight. I thought
you thought?
Yeah, because on the offensive end, you didn't have guys playing with the free flow that they're used to playing with besides Ja Morant and Dylan Brooks. Desmond Bane wasn't creating like he normally does. Jaren Jackson was a little bit uncomfortable getting to the rim, and especially shooting the 3 ball. Nothing dropped for him.
Do we blame it on this? Do we blame it on the towels?
Yes.
Hey, I guess
they'll mim this and never get rolled out again.
Bryant says yes, so I guess yes. But no, I thought they played tight, and they played more like, versus the rest of the year, they played more like they had something to lose.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway. That's Lexus of Memphis. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-334-9673, the one and only Lexus dealership in town, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
And that's right where we just ended. Grizzlies versus Timberwolves. They lose game one. And the Timberwolves ran away with it, 131-17. It was fun. It was up-tempo. It was more or less a track meet. They scored a lot of points. It's everything we expected, but we didn't expect the Grizzlies lost early in this series. We didn't expect this to be as hard as it was in game one. Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards got whatever they wanted. Also, I thought the dunk that Karl Anthony Towns had over Jaren Jackson Jr. was particularly bothersome. It was, because you saw Jaren get into his feelings a little bit, get uncomfortable, commit a technical foul immediately following that, and that leads me into my next point. The Grizzlies are a smarter team. They have been a smarter team this entire year than the Timberwolves. It's just, you go look at turnovers, fouls, the whole 9 yards. They have played substantially smarter, but in that game, they played dumb at times. Ja was not getting good looks. He was forcing it in the lane at points. Jaren, the push after getting dunked on to lead to a technical foul. That's not what the Grizzlies have hung their hat on all year. That's not things. Those are not
unrecognizable.
Those were not things that they did during the year. I thought they played a little bit tight. I thought they played with something to lose. And this is where Taylor Jenkins comes in. Are you a playoff coach? Can you tell these guys to make adjustments? Can you calm them down from game one to game two? We will see.
We will see. Remember, Mark Jackson wasn't the guy for the long haul for Golden State. In Toronto, Dwayne Casey wasn't the guy for the long haul. This is when the coach has to step up. The pressure is on Taylor Jenkins tomorrow night to even this thing at 1-1. My top story right there. Game one on Saturday, Minnesota played great, and the Grizzlies didn't. Sadly, the highlight of the day for the hometown team was the building security hauling off the dope head that had chained itself to the goal.
Can we talk about this? Because they're protesting Glenn Taylor, right? This is the whole idea.
Should we tell him?
Wait, is Glenn Taylor, does he still own the team, or is he like selling it off slowly? What's the deal? Because I thought Mark Lore and A-Rod own it now. I thought they bought the team.
That's why A-Rod was here Saturday. Not only did they haul that person out, hauled them off by their head. Had them in a step over toehold. Good was right, Bryant. Good was right. Love that the T-Wolves they look fantastic at times on Saturday, and they were the better team for sure. And how did the set of did the protester have handcuffs or a chain?
A chain.
Okay, what about the stupid clear bag policy? How does that get in?
Well, they don't have a clear bag policy at FedEx Forum. That's just at Liberty Bowl.
Well, how come they can go through every side pocket of my briefcase for me to try to get in over and over and over and kind of know me, but this dopehead gets in a chain?
Ridiculous.
Is Jerry Calhoun running the security? He never found the chain on Studio Wrestling. How did they not find the chain Saturday?
I'll say this. They can be lax at times. There by the
you gotta get a lot of people in, you know.
But guess what happens now, Gabe? But guess what happens now?
It's
even longer and even slower and even more scrutiny on people that go constantly. And this dopehead gets in Saturday and causes this disturbance.
About a chicken. Give me a break.
And also, again, Glenn Taylor, I don't know, I guess for sure, but I was almost positive he doesn't own the Timberwolves, or at least his majority stake in the Timberwolves anymore. It was bought off of him by Mark Lore and A-Rod. So
around the league, they need to make sure these people don't get in anymore.
And why are they? They're just traveling to follow the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I guess so.
Are they PETA members? Who are they?
Sounds like it. I mean, a chicken.
Where are they from, man?
It's ridiculous.
Everyone loves
Beyond
chicken.
stupid.
Roast a chicken however you want, dead or alive. Just get off my court.
Not top story of the day.
This has to do with the Tigers over the weekend. And Amani Bates gone. I'm not even going to make that a big part of my not top story. I think everyone thought he was going to get in the transfer portal. He's going to have options. Let's not get that twisted.
But around town, there was some that held out hope. We all thought gone when we went over that first list.
Well, honestly, it took a while. So there was a benefit of the doubt there that Penny was going to keep him around and hopefully keep him around. But after all, we know what happened with Amani Bates in year one with the University of Memphis. It just didn't look good from start to finish. But the big one, Tyler Harris in the portal. And he goes to Twitter to say it was not his choice. There's a lot. He said there's a lot of decisions.
His mother goes to social media.
Yes, He said there's a lot of decisions that we have to make at times as athletes, but this one was not my choice. And I've immediately saw it.
I know people sitting behind her, right behind the bench, will really miss her standing in her seat the whole game long next year.
And I know there's a lot of people around town who are going to do this whole spin thing, do this mental gymnastics with why Tyler Harris
it's worse
is
than
leaving.
that. It's excuse making.
Yes,
for Penny.
I've heard three already. He's not going to accept the minutes that Penny's going to give him going into next year. He won't accept his role, and also recruiting.
It's never Penny. No matter what, it's never Penny.
Penny's recruiting to go upgrade his position. I've heard all three of those. I think they're all spins they're mental gymnastics. He came back as a walk-on. He accepted his role. He accepted the minutes, and he thrived. And he thrived completely. He's from Memphis. He's a guy that played with Penny growing up, that was recruited to Penny's first team here. He's damn near the team MVP this year. Without him, where would they be? In some of the low points, he was the only guy scoring the ball. So it's just bizarre to me to see this spin on Tyler Harris, who clearly is the hometown guy, the guy that saved this season in a whole lot of ways. And at this point in time, you would think with where you are at as a program, you would be rewarding loyalty. You'd be saying that I'm glad this guy came back. I'm glad this guy accepted his role and did what I asked of him. You should be trying to keep any level of continuity. But that's not the case right now. And I think that more than any of the transfers we've seen so far, and we've seen a lot, and we've seen a lot of guys declare for the NBA draft, I think this is the most concerning one so far.
Gabe, that was your not top story, and it's mine as well, and it's a not top story because it's April 18th. It will be a top story come November 18th. 10 out, 7 staying right now from the roster from last year, and really only Malcolm Dandridge remaining from those celebrated back-to-back signing classes. Tyler Harris and his family say they were pushed out, told that they weren't allowed to stay. They weren't wanted. We'll see what comes in. But when you've lost 10 out of 17 and 3 members of your staff, and probably Larry Brown will make it 4, and it's 4 straight years with 4 years of a lot of controversy, 1 NCAA tournament win, and waiting on IARP, whatever we do, don't blame Penny.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this right now. In regards to putting together a roster for next year, not just a team, not just a possible NCAA tournament team, to put together a roster is going to be an uphill battle for Penny Hardaway right now. 10 out. 10 people out. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable to think how far the Tigers have fallen since March, since last month. It really is wild. That'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Ron texts in. He says the metal detectors were not working at FedEx Forum. That's why she got her chain in. That's uncomfortable.
I'm glad it wasn't a gun.
Well, at what entrance are we talking? I can't imagine every single metal detector was on the fritz. I gotta imagine.
Boy, what kind of luck is that every one of them goes out for game 1 of the NBA playoffs?
Conspiracy?
No.
Okay. No conspiracy. You sure? You sure, Brian?
I'm pretty sure.
All right, man. But anyway, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, got to talk more Grizzlies Timberwolves. And we want you guys to text in your thoughts on what this series may look like by the end of it. 901-360-8255 at the AutoZone listener line. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Also message us on our social, Sports56WHBQ, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll be right back on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Get your afternoon started with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sang, and Sports 56 Grind Time. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Whether it's Miramichi, Cherokee, Galloway, or any of the numerous courses around town, you'll find me, Sheldon Rosengarten, with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, stinking up the course, because I've been known as the worst golfer in town. But along with that tag, people often say that when it comes to selling homes, when you want the job done, call Sheldon. Yes, I spend most of my time making sure my clients get the absolute best and most successful strategic marketing program. Darn it, I hate hitting triple bogeys, but I'd rather be making my clients more for their homes quicker. And who else is going to tell you that if you're thinking of selling, talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure that Sheldon is one of them. Remember this, write it down. You can reach me, Sheldon Rosengarten, at memphisrelocate.com or 4830546. That's memphisrelocate.com or 4830546. Do it now.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-249-2509. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-249-2509 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-249-2509 to see if you qualify. That's 800-249-2509.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. As we all know, Memphis can be a hotbed for severe weather, and that weather can play havoc on our roofs. Most people don't know what they should do first when they're concerned about the condition of their roof. Call their insurance company, call a contractor, or trust a door-to-door salesman that's making claims that are hard to believe. My advice would be call the contractor that you know and trust. If you don't know any, research your local contractors and give 2 or 3 a call. I hope your research will lead you to us. Have your roof inspected, decide for yourself what you should do, and whether or not you should file a claim with your insurance company. It's your home, it's your policy, and it's your money. Don't let anyone pressure you into anything. If you give Five Ash Roofing a call, we promise personal service with a member of our family with no pressure and no hype. Five Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect machine. It's really a miracle of evolution.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
I don't want to die for them to miss me. Yes, I see the things.
Also, something we didn't talk about in the first segment. We're going to get to more Grizzlies Timberwolves discussion the entire show. And more Game 1 discussion all around the NBA. T. Morant was turnt there at the end, man. He was feeling himself. How about it? Getting right in the face, getting right in the camera. letting himself be known.
It was going on all day. The conversation, once Patrick Beverly went over to Moneybag Yo and Zebo and like stuck out a hand to shake hands and was rebuffed, and he kind of turned his back. But it was noisy down there in that T. Moran area all day Saturday.
Both these 2-7 matchups are shaping up to be
good stuff.
The best first-round matchups in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, the Nets and the Celtics. Celtics, of course, win that game on a buzzer beater by Jason Tatum, a ridiculous buzzer beater, too. That spin was unreal. But this one in particular is going to be now you dig yourself this 1-0 hole. You lose at home in game one. You dig yourself a hole, and the Grizzlies have to dig up out of there. Grizzlies lose 130-117. And there were two things, I think, going into this game, Brett, that we pointed at and said these things cannot happen. Jaren Jackson foul trouble, Jaren Jackson Jr. foul trouble, and shooting the ball at a low percentage. They only hit 7 threes the entire night, and Jaren ended up with 5 fouls. And you tell yourself that this is not going to happen. They're going to have to focus on these things. These are going to be a massive point of emphasis in practice, but they still rear their ugly head, and they rear their ugly head in the worst time possible.
Yeah, we were scared of Jaren Jackson foul trouble on nickel and dimers, on peanut stuff, on Tic Tac stuff. It wasn't. It was fouls,
yep.
And some of it was out of position, kind of desperation to get back, in the mix, and he got a foul. Everything that went wrong Saturday, I think, can go right tomorrow night and even it up at 1-1. Then you go to Minneapolis and you split there. It makes Game 5 at FedEx Forum very important. You get that, it's simple math. You got 2 cracks to win 1 game, and one of those cracks will be a Game 7 Sunday afternoon, March 1st at FedEx Forum.
So the question for me becomes from Game 1 to Game 2.
May 1st, not March, May 1st.
Based on what you saw from Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and even Malik Beasley, for that matter, and you know what D'Angelo Russell's capable of. Defensively, what adjustments do you make? What matchups do you actually make sure you change around this time? Does Dylan Brooks stick on Anthony Edwards the entire game? What do you do between Jared Vanderbilt and Karl Anthony Towns? Does Jaren Jackson Jr. draw the entire assignment, the full assignment of Karl Anthony Towns? Do you hide Steven Adams on Jared Vanderbilt?
You're talking more strategically, and I think there are things, obviously strategically, that they can and will do. Another thing they can do, I think, is effort and play a little harder. There were a lot of times that it was clear path to the goal, or you look up and it just opens up and they're at the goal, or a shooter with a head fake or a ball fake, and the Grizzlies biting on it, and they line up, get their feet set for a 3.
And something the Grizzlies have relied on all year defensively, because I don't think the Grizzlies are some big stopper team. I don't think even Dylan Brooks, the guy that they hang their hat on as their defensive specialist, he's not a stopper. He's a pest. He's annoying. He really gets into you the whole game and makes you work. They're not a stopper team, but the one thing they've done better than anybody in the entire NBA during the season, during the regular season, was deflect balls, was cause turnovers, was
very handsy.
They bother people. They'd get into passing lanes. They make everything hard.
Effort.
They make everything hard on the defensive end that way. And you didn't see a lot of that in this game. They forced 17 turnovers. They had about 25 points off of those turnovers, but there just wasn't as much consistent bother in passing lanes and everything else.
Out-rebounded, had less turnovers, but then at the three-point line, 24 of 27 for Minnesota. I don't know what you could have done to beat that. I don't know what defense and strategy and effort can top. I'm sorry, it was free throws for Minnesota, 16 of 41 from three-point line, and they were making it look easy. Hit a stretch where the Grizzlies got about 4 straight stops and got back in the game, but it wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm. And the Grizzlies this year, I think a lot of the time, have been very good at sharing the ball, have been very good being unselfish, spreading it around, getting everybody involved. They didn't share the ball particularly well, and I think part of that was John Moran at the beginning of the game trying to share it. You let the Timberwolves, I think, get out to a 9-2 run because he was trying to share it so much, and at that point, Ja just decided that in a lot of those situations, he was going to take it for himself and try to make it happen himself because his teammates weren't making it happen.
But how many more times in this series will Beasley get 23? Tarian Prince with a big 3-point shot in the game on pretty good defense at the end of a shot clock situation. I thought Saturday was an outlier on a lot of fronts. For the Grizzlies, that didn't look like the Grizzlies we had seen, heck, since Thanksgiving, December for sure. And Minnesota played great. They were inspired all day. Their coach had them in really good strategic position all day. They were better. It's one game. How much will that game matter in 2 weeks? Might not matter at all. Come back, win 4-1, what of it? Win the series, what of it?
Right.
Other than even winning the series, Gabe, the old tape gets around. I mean, everybody else, they're building that book on the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are, this is a good thing, they are the hunted, not only for seed position, but for all the smack talk.
And that's what it felt like to me. And I know you say you don't think they played overly tight. I thought they played tight because they were the hunted, because they were the team in the position where it feels like you have more to lose.
You could be right. You probably are right.
And it's just these small things, not taking chances on the defensive end to jump into passing lanes. On the offensive end, deferring.
D'Anthony Melton, unrecognizable.
Exactly, deferring. I mean, and he came into the playoffs on a heater, on one of the bigger heaters from the 3-point line that we've seen anybody in the Grizzlies ever have.
All right, I know it's cliche. Did you see rust?
No, I don't think it was rust.
Did you see lethargy? Did you see
a
little lack of timing that Minnesota may have had from the play-in?
I think there's a level of that. I think that's something. I think there's something to be said about that. But again, I just think it's the
and
Grizzlies.
Are we making excuses?
There's something to be said about the Grizzlies never being in this position as a young team. Last year, you make it into the play-in and you beat a more experienced team because you don't know any better and you didn't feel like you had anything to lose. So you play so loose. You don't play with any tightness at all. I thought this game in particular was different. Now, going forward, they've got this one out of the way. They probably play looser the rest of the way. That's sort of what I would expect from a team in the Grizzlies' position. But I think that's just it, is you go into a series finally as the hunted. And more is on the line because this feels like a go-for-it year. The Timberwolves are saying, let's just do with this chance as a 7th
House
seed
money.
What we can. The Grizzlies are saying, this is a championship year for us. Let's try to take advantage.
Yes. I mean, when people pick you to be in the finals, when people pick you to win it, that is the very definition of a go-for-it year. Nobody's doing that for Minnesota, and this time next year, this could be the Western Conference Finals.
I think these teams are set for the future in a lot of ways. I think Minnesota, if they can keep some of these pieces, find a deeper bench, they're going to be in really, really good position. Now,
unlike the NCAA tournament, it was one game. The Grizzlies, now it wasn't in the play-in, one game can eliminate you, but the Grizzlies aren't eliminated. Everything I'm kind of saying today, Gabe, is really ending in a question mark.
Right.
I'm not, other than, Minnesota played better Saturday. That's a period. But most everything is with a question mark. I'm not putting periods or exclamation marks at the end of anything really today. Now, Wednesday afternoon at 3:40 could be a whole different world.
And I think you'll understand early. Generally, when the Grizzlies are out to prove something, they don't play around. This year, you have not seen them play at all. They try to jump on somebody quick, early, often, the entire game.
And drop a house on them.
And the thing is, I knew there was something going on when the Timberwolves came out on that 9-2 run and Ja was deferring and no one else was doing anything. I knew there was something going on. It just didn't feel correct. The Grizzlies have been, and I know that some people out there don't bet this all the time, but Grizzlies from a first quarter spread standpoint, winning first quarters, they have been near money. They have done that consistently all year. So to see them struggle the way they did in that first quarter, go down 41-33, dig themselves that hole was certainly uncomfortable, and I saw that sort of sticking around. I didn't see them kick up that intensity, Brad, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see them really kick up that intensity, and weirdly enough, that run that they had in the second quarter when they started to kick up that intensity was without Dillon Brooks, without John Morant, without Jaren Jackson Jr. So that was bizarre as well. But I didn't see
the
that
crowd
intensity
was
go
good.
up until then.
But the crowd was good. It was never great because they never got any fuel. They never got any push from the product on the floor. And I'm not saying that the protester, it didn't take any energy out of the building. That was really well handled by FedEx Forum officialdom. It really was. That could have been a lot longer and a lot worse. I mean, they had to lower the stanchion to kind of extricate the protester from there. But the whole building, it was waiting to erupt. Maybe Saturday afternoon did it. Tomorrow night may be different. And we know with the win tomorrow night, 1-1. That's all Minnesota wanted out of the trip to Memphis.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that in Minnesota, of course, I think already got exactly what they wanted. I agree with that sentiment, no question. The Grizzlies have to do something more than what they did against Karl Anthony Towns in Game 1. And I think there's been a blueprint on it. And I talked about it when they played the Clippers and what Tyronn Lue told Nicholas Batum to do, what he told Terrence Mann to do. They were just hacking the hell out of him, bothering him, using fouls, making him uncomfortable. I didn't see the Grizzlies do that one bit. They ended up in the situation where they'd have one-on-ones consistently with either Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr., and Karl Anthony Towns will thrive in those situations. I think what you need to do, Brett, whenever he gets the ball, trap him, make him pass. Make him pass. He doesn't want to pass. That's not his forte. That's not what he does. Make him pass, make him uncomfortable, and as far as I'm concerned, hit his forearms about as much as you can until they call something. Use your fouls.
Get rough. Good, tough basketball. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel. Playoffs, they're here. All the Game 1s wrapped up. Game 2s start tonight, and Game 2 for the Grizzlies tomorrow night. Playoffs are here, and you can make every game feel like Game 7 at FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA. Throughout the playoffs, all customers can place a no-sweat same-game parlay each week. You'll get up to $20 in free bets if you don't win. FanDuel has so many ways to play, and best of all, when you do win, you'll get paid faster than a fast break. New to FanDuel, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code CASH. Again, that's promo code CASH, and if you already have an account, you're all set to bet. No sweat. Either way, you'll get up to $20 in free bets if your same-game parlay during the playoffs doesn't win. FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA, must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet, $20 per week. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Still plenty to get to on the show, including more reaction to the Grizzlies-Timberwolves Game 1 and a preview of Game 2. Also, we have to talk about the rest of the Game 1s around the NBA playoffs, as well as get into some Tiger basketball. Tiger basketball, 10 players, either entering the NBA draft or in the transfer portal. All that to come on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Who's ready to spring clean and save some green?
Hunter Johnston
and Colin Johnston here from DeSoto Auto Sales.
This month, we're on a mission
to help you cash in when you clean out your garage.
So stop making payments on a car that's ruining your life.
Because you could clean up in a nicer, newer car.
And possibly lower your monthly payment in the process.
It's out with the old and in with the new.
Only during our Spring Clean and Save Some Green sales event.
So dust off that old ride you hate driving.
And trade up when you bring it in today.
Because you could drive a nicer, newer car.
And possibly lower your monthly payment in the process.
Plus, our For the People credit approval process could be the fresh start you need.
So let's spring clean and save some green.
You could save up to $4,000 on a nicer, newer car, depending on the car you choose.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Colin. And we're your dealers for the people.
See all my rides at DeSotoAutoSales.com.
That's DeSotoAutoSales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Negative equity may be refinanced. Vehicle purchase price determines an actual discount. Offer absolutely expires on April 30th, 2022.
Brian Elders Roofing. Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Let me tell you what Melvin Toast is packing right here, all right?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Get it? Text a message, I don't know the number.
So, as happens with news drops and in this industry, things happen quickly. Before I went to the break, there were 10 Tigers either entering the NBA draft or entering the transfer portal. Make it 11. Jalen Duren officially has decided to enter his name into the NBA draft. No surprise there.
I think I was counting him in my 10. I'll have to do the math at the break.
Okay. I'm pretty well. I think it was 10 even besides him. We'll have to go check. That's a lot of names.
This is my stunned face on Jalen Duren going to the NBA draft.
Yeah. I know, but he's headed to the NBA draft.
You got to sell it better than that,
and
Brad.
I think certainly at this point, and you sort of wonder.
This is my not stunned face.
There you go.
You wonder with pre-draft process and everything else if he will officially be a top 10 pick, but certainly a top 15 guy, certainly a lottery guy.
Oh yeah,
we're looking at.
And he moved up after he got healthy, and that really was the impetus to the Tigers closing strongly down the stretch. I think he moved up and will just get better. I would love to know what makes him tick. Is he a worker? Does it really move him?
It seems to be. I mean, he was a guy. I mean, when his first game I saw him play as a Tiger, there was no. I mean, development on the offensive side wasn't quite there. I think as the game went, as the season went on, and he played more games, you saw the work and you saw it sort of translate a little bit. Grew a little bit of a jumper, was better around the rim, had more post moves. So I think it's there.
Those hands, those feet, that body should only improve. The game that scared me the most with him all year, go to Oxford and get 2 points out of him.
And there were times this year where you expected things like that. Very young 18-year-old coming in, playing against a guy like Nasir Brooks. And I know Nasir Brooks is not a world beater, not trying to say he is some fantastic center that you need to be scared of. But when you have a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, versus an 18-year-old in that situation, usually that 25-year-old will get the best of you.
So who's next? Is there a next stunning announcement? Is anybody that remains that would shock you they're not returning? Because it sounds like it between discontent and roster purge, we may not be at the end.
I'm sort of wondering because Malcolm Dandridge, you sort of wonder if he'll stick around. You'd imagine he would. Hadn't left yet. Penny very close with, but here's the other thing is I don't think there's anything off the table. If anyone puts their name into the transfer market, puts their name into the transfer portal, I'm not going to be surprised, with the exception of maybe Alex Lomax and the Lawsons at this point.
How excited are you by the possibility of, in back-to-back years, a player returns? DJ Jeffries possibly returning. What's that do for you?
Woo.
Not much.
No.
Brett.
It's almost the same as my shocked, not shocked face.
Doesn't do much for me. And I think the way it has gone for Penny Hardaway this offseason, getting DJ Jeffries back would be an overwhelming positive compared to what we've seen so far. But, again, I think the book's out on DJ. And DJ, after that
the
knee
first
injury,
night he goes 2 for 12, I may chain myself to the goal.
Also, I think with DJ, ever since that knee injury his freshman year, he's been a little less apt to be aggressive on the offensive end. I even watched him at Mississippi State this year, and he had
dollar
the same
move, nickel
issues.
shot.
Had the same issues. He has so much natural ability at 6'8", with his ability to move around, dribble, all that, shoot a little bit, but it just has never really come together for him.
Really never finishes.
I could maybe a transfer back to Memphis is just what the doctor ordered for him, but at this point, with where the University of Memphis is at in the basketball program, I would doubt it. I would doubt it. And also, having Caleb Murphy and Kendrick Davis on campus this weekend, are there any from a chance perspective, from if you're looking at it from their perspective, is there a way that they commit to the University of Memphis? Does that make any sense for where they're headed?
I'd like to know what they know if they do. That would help. I would like to know what they've been told about NCAA sanctions.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. I have heard more and more people over the weekend, people that I trust, say that there is some more hope than not that one in particular.
And I would imagine it would be Caleb Murphy.
No, I was actually talking about the other one.
Really, Kendrick Davis.
Yeah. And all the elite places want him. I mean, to see him
what I'm
getting
saying.
the love by Kansas fans.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I will have to say this. If Penny can find a way to land a guy like Kendrick Davis, the number one transfer portal recruit in the entire NCAA, if he can find a way to do that, I think there's part of the narrative that flips. He can still do it. People will still be talking about, well, he can still recruit at a high level with these sanctions possibly coming down relatively soon. It's different, though. It's a different feel.
I don't know that I have an answer, and I don't like throwing out questions that I don't have an answer to, but the lasting legacy on the court, not the infected fingernail, not the drama around him, but the lasting legacy on the court for Amani Bates.
Oh, come on. There's nothing there at the University of Memphis that he did.
Not a single moment?
There's no legacy left.
Oh, you remember this? None? Wow.
No legacy.
Isn't it sad?
No legacy. I guess, okay, he hit a three against Boise State.
Maybe going to the scores table against Boise was stunning.
That was stunning.
Yeah, from a legacy perspective, there's no lasting legacy that Amani Bates left.
He hustled when he was out there on the court. I'll give him that. Laying out for balls and stuff was great.
What a lasting legacy.
Love Amani Bates.
What a lasting legacy. I really do hope he does well. And I think still, even though he had the struggles here, I think going forward in his recruiting process, he's still going to have a similar recruiting process. There are going to be a lot of people out there that still want him. Now, I wonder how many of
Did they watch last year?
I wonder how many, and this is my question, I wonder how many of the blue blood programs, the Michigan States, the Dukes, the guys that were coming after him in high school, I wonder how many of them fall under the is he damaged goods section. I wonder how many people buy into that.
If he can play, they don't care.
Yeah, but he still has ability. He's still 18 years old. There are upsides to bringing Amani Bates in to your program. It's still there, the ability. Now, did you know your bud has a favorite app? That's right, it's SeatGeek. SeatGeek app is the best way for you to get tickets for live events. I always mention how much I love the variety. You can get Beale Street Music Festival tickets, go see a show at the Orpheum. You can see whatever you want, but I'm going to point you in the right direction when it comes to Grizzlies playoff tickets. Tomorrow, April 19th, 7:30 at FedEx Forum. Do you need Grizzlies tickets? If so, SeatGeek has you. They have tickets starting as low as, wait for it, $28. Yes, as low as $28. If you want to go see the Grizzlies take on the Timberwolves in Game 2 of their first-round series in the FedEx Forum, in the NBA playoffs, 2 versus 7, $28 is what gets you in the door. And SeatGeek is so beloved by butts everywhere because they've made it the highest-rated ticketing app. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you're getting a good deal. Green means good. Red means bad. Easy enough. I can guarantee those $28 tickets, they're on the green side of things. They're ranked a 10. That's a fantastic deal. And also, I'm going to give you a deal. You can get $20 off. Only $28. You can get $20 off your first purchase with promo code GABE56. GABE56 at SeatGeek.com or the SeatGeek app. Again, that's promo code GABE56, GABE56 for $20 off your first SeatGeek order. SeatGeek, get your seat in a seat. Download the app today. That'll do it for hour number 1. Hour number 2 on the way. Still have Tiger basketball to get to. Still have NBA playoffs to get to. Still have to talk about Grizzlies and Timberwolves. But we start hour number 2 with our good friend David Cobb from CBS Sports on some college football and some college basketball right here on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
It's time for another season of golf at Miramichi. You know the spot, 15 minutes north of downtown in Woodstock. I call it heaven. It's 330 acres of natural beauty, 7,400 yards of championship-level golf, but there are several different tee boxes which make it fun or competitive for every level of golf. And the practice facilities are as good as any country club, and every round of golf comes with a cart and complimentary range balls. You can really improve your game, and you'll love the prices, too. Seniors can play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for as low as $33. Again, the golf cart and the range balls are thrown in. The standard weekday rates are as low as $44. Friday, it's $50, and on Sunday, it's $55. You'll love the view from the terrace. You look out and see the best view in all of Shelby County. The whole experience, it's just fantastic. Go check it out yourself at Miramichi.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. And be sure to sign up with promo code BIGHEAD so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code BIGHEAD. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline. 1-800-889-9789.
Are you ready to hit the road in your new ride from Gossett Kia on the Pike? Well, check out 2022 Kia Forte LXS, $219 36-month lease. 2022 Kia Soul LX, $229 36-month lease. Both $27.99 due at signing. And how about 2022 Kia Sorento LX, $299 36-month lease. $39.99 due at signing. And you'll always find peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. It's time to come see Bobby J. He'd love to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte, NE 472,058, MSRP 21,270. Soul, N 782, 8937, MSRP 22,005. Sorento, NG 116, 389, MSRP 31,170. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license. With approved credit, see dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/2022. Dealer stock only.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, where we've got more ways to get you what you need your way. Get the job done today with our free same-day store pickup. Just order online and pick it up the same day at your local AutoZone. Or get it done tomorrow with our free next-day delivery. Just order on AutoZone.com by 10 p.m. and we'll deliver it to you the next day. Getting your job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery and eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Bon appetit.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, but now I got Rolling Stones in the bezel. Ice. Mama and home all alone.
Hour 2 is here on Sportstime on Sports 56. Gabe Kuhn with you, alongside Brett Stats Norsworthy. Brian Dake, of course, producing the program. AutoZone listener line 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You have anything you want to chime in on? Grizzlies, Tigers, the whole 9 yards. We're talking about all of it today. Also, go to our socials, Sports 56 WHBQ, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and you can message us there as well. Very pleased to be joined, as we always are at this time, by our man, David Cobb, at David W. Cobb on Twitter. David, what's happening, man?
Not much, guys. A little disappointed with the first game of the Grizzlies series, but it's a 7-game series that they got time to figure it out. I'm not panicking. I'm just a little disappointed with the debut.
They really did have. They were playing with a little bit of tightness, and they sort of let everything that could have spiraled out of control on them spiral out of control. When it came to Jaren Jackson Jr. getting into foul trouble offensively, they didn't shoot well. They didn't cover the 3-point line well. Nothing in that game that you thought would be a key.
Crowd got taken out.
Exactly. I don't think Jaren will have another game like that where he doesn't hit a single three and is in foul trouble. So you get Jaren right, then you're good to go. So I'm not overly concerned. I think they can get back in position to win the series. But you know what? I will say I might have underestimated the Timberwolves a little bit. I mean, they're just not a team that's really been on my radar much this year, but they've got some talent. Obviously, you know, Karl Anthony Towns has been there forever, just languishing without any help whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Anthony Edwards is legit. He's the real deal. And, I mean, he was phenomenal against the Grizzlies the other day.
Let me pose this to you, because me and Brett had a slight disagreement on this. What do you think about the hunter versus hunted mentality, where the Grizzlies are now the hunted, so they play with a edge, knowing that they can't, or not with an edge, they play without that edge that they had as the hunter. They play like they have something to lose. Did you sense any of that?
Yeah, it's interesting when you get a young team that is the hunted team, because that means that no one on that team has probably been in that spot before. So it's just a lot of newness. I mean, I know they were in the playoffs last year, but they were the major underdog in that scenario. So it's different when you got a young team that has a target on its back. To me, that says the superstars kind of have to rise to the top and set the tone and lead the way. So I'm not worried at all really about Ja. It seems like he had the right mindset from the remarks I saw from him after the game. So yeah, it's a different dynamic, and I mean, I think that's why you see most of the national analysts really cool on the Grizzlies making a deep run. It feels hard to trust a team that's as young as this team is in this spot. So I mean, I'm not saying I agree with that. I would be very disappointed if they didn't win at least one playoff series. I think by now, as good as they were all season, I mean, that should be the bare minimum to win at least one series, which is still, by the way, way ahead of schedule. I mean,
it is.
For the fact that they're even.
I do think the narratives start to switch if you lose a first-round series this year. I feel like because I feel like in a lot of ways the Grizzlies in this market with the Tigers and what Penny Hardaway has done and what all the Tigers' drought in the NCAA tournament, I feel like the Grizzlies have avoided a lot of criticism up till this point. But if you do this where you win 56 games and get knocked out in the first round, I think criticism comes with that.
Then we got to be the big meanies, David.
Well, it'll really increase the pressure on them to go get somebody in free agency or go make a splash or whatever. Who's going to be the guy who helps the Grizzlies get over the hump? Yeah, you'll start to get a lot of that. I just think it's important to keep the perspective of where this team is in terms of the age within comparison to the rest of the league. The Grizzlies are still one of the youngest teams in the NBA, and have a very promising very promising young core and a front office that is batting pretty close to 1,000 so far on the personnel front. So there's no, if it doesn't work out this year, I don't think there's any reason to panic or anything like that. But man, it's crazy how the narrative has flipped. Because when I started as the Grizzlies beat writer at the beginning of the 2018-19 season with Conley and Gasol still around and John Morant entering his sophomore year at Murray State, I mean, the talk of the town was all about the Tigers.
Yep.
And I was the kind of the third man on the totem pole at the CA in some ways, because the Grizzlies were behind the Memphis basketball in terms of interest and priority, and they were kind of right there with Memphis football in terms of like fan interest and whatnot. And boy, John Morant has changed things so much. So it's crazy when you keep that perspective to realize how far they've come in a short period of time. And of course, I want to see them do well in these playoffs, but I didn't think that 2022 would be the year that they would be arriving. I think most people would have thought that would be 1 or 2 more years down the road. So anything we get, I feel like, is a bonus. But man, like I said, going to be really disappointed if, for whatever reason, they don't at least win a series here in these playoffs.
David, it's one of the many beauties of sport that I so love. I talk about it all the time. The first thing's the competition. I'm better than you, or my team can score more than yours, or I can shoot a lower round than you can. I love the competition. Then I love the emotion. And then Saturday, there's always lurking is that big slice of humble pie. And the Grizzlies got a little dose of it on Saturday. Now, I'm with you. No need, and I don't think we have. I sure don't want to freak out after one Saturday afternoon game and another one coming up tomorrow night. But if we got into this time next year and you had 2 years in a row, if you had 2 years in a row of back-to-back first-round exits, then it becomes the whole scar tissue thing. And about every decade in the NBA, in the 80s, it was kind of Mark Aguirre and Roy Tarpley and the Mavericks that couldn't crack through. And it was a very tough NBA then, I think tougher than now. In the 90s, mid to late 90s, it was Penny and the Magic with Shaq. They couldn't break through. In first decade of the 21st century, it was kind of Sacramento. And you sure don't want to be that decade's team, but when you have a couple of playoff failures, you kind of start to become that team.
Yeah, and you certainly hope the Grizzlies can avoid that fate. The thing that also I think works in their favor, though, that will help them avoid being a perennial sort of early exit type of squad, is a battle of attrition in the Western Conference right now. And so, yeah, I mean, you got the Timberwolves, who are another team on the up, and I think that the Nuggets will be a team on the upswing once Jamal Murray is fully back and with what they're doing there. But like I look at the Suns and I see a team that, Chris Paul is on his last breath as an NBA star. And I look at the Golden State Warriors, who are the other team sort of in the Grizzlies realm in terms of being upper echelon in this conference. And their core is getting really, really old as well. So, I mean, if you put the Grizzlies next to the Timberwolves and the Mavericks and the Pelicans, who are sort of these teams that have these young cores and these young nucleuses, I think I like what the Grizzlies have against those guys in terms of talent. So I think in the long run, once you start getting through the Chris Pauls and the Clays and the Stephs who are going to be aging out here soon,
right,
the Grizzlies will become the team with the veteran metal and the veteran moxie. I certainly hope. And every year a matchup can change that, and the scar tissue thing can be real. But, man, you know what? We could look up in 2 or 3 weeks, and this team could be doing something special. So they're 0-1 right now. But the NBA playoffs are a long slog. I mean, the fact is, you go Saturday to Tuesday between games. That's longer than teams get, between rounds of the NCAA tournament. So that's plenty of time to sit back, watch the film, and you're going up against the same opponent again too. And so it's just such a unique situation where, in most scenarios, absent injuries or just crazy circumstances where Zach Randolph slams a guy's head into the court and gets suspended, outside those types of circumstances, typically the best team does rise to the top over the course of a 7-game series, and I believe the Grizzlies are the best team in this series.
Yeah, when David Stern stretched those out to 4 out of 7, he was wanting that best team to establish themselves, especially early, especially in this 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, this first round. David, I had the DVR rolling on over the last few weeks, and I've watched in full the Florida spring game and the Alabama spring game. Quite the different commentary around both of them. The hope of Billy Napier, and then at Alabama, just one of the great, if not the greatest American sports brand right now. Only one loss last year. That one loss was a big loss, though. It was for the national championship for Alabama. Everybody on alert for offensive line trouble at Alabama. Could we have had the unthinkable at Alabama? And they've missed this badly in recruiting. I mean, I'm still ready for the Brockermeyer twins, and I don't see it coming.
Mm-hmm. I doubt it. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the thing is, if that were the case, Nick Saban would have identified that by now, and he would have gone out and gone portal mining. I think that.
Well, he did to Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so maybe there's a bit of concern there, but if they're addressing it, then I doubt that Nick Saban is going to go into this next season with a massive gap on his offensive line. I find that hard to believe, and I think he's got the perfect quarterback to help mask those types of deficiencies as well. Because Bryce Young may not prefer to run; he doesn't like for that to be the first thing on his resume. He doesn't appreciate that stereotype. He's been clear about that, but he can run, he can escape, and he was much more mobile in the second half of last season when they needed him to be. And so, I mean, that offensive line, I think, would have to be off for Bryce Young to be a guy who gets sacked 25 or 30 times, this upcoming season. I think he is athletic enough to help mask that. And not all Alabama quarterbacks have been that way during Nick Saban's tenure, but more and more of them as of late have been. So, I mean, I would maybe be concerned about the run blocking element to a degree, because the run game was not elite for Alabama last year. I mean, this is an Alabama program now that is its identity at this point, in my opinion, is quarterbacks who put up prolific numbers and wide receivers who are among the best in the country. I mean, that's who they've been over the last few seasons. And so if they're unable to run the football, and if that becomes a diminishing part of their identity, to me, I guess that would be my concern with Alabama and the offensive line, is can they be a team that consistently gets 5.5 yards a pop on first down, which is kind of who they were for a decent chunk of Saban's tenure to this point.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned going to the portal and mining. It seems like Alabama, and they still have the homegrown talent where they bring in a guy as a freshman, they develop them. But even more than ever, and more than a lot of people around the country, it seems like Nick Saban takes advantage of it. Because even in their scrimmage, and I don't know if it was their spring game, but you had Jermaine Burton and you had Jahmyr Gibbs as two of the guys that were highlighted the most. How much of that do you think we'll see from Nick Saban before he eventually steps away, as far as the transfer portal and him taking advantage of it?
It sure seems like he's willing to adjust.
And Jamison Williams, by the way, his probably highest rated NFL draft guy this year came out of the portal.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they're bringing in a receiver from Vanderbilt, transferring in Jermaine Burton. So another example there of a guy who, I mean, that's pretty bad PR, honestly, for Georgia, that one of their top receivers goes and hops from Georgia to Alabama, because guess what? He's going to be able to put up a lot more numbers in that Alabama.
On the day of the national championship parade, no less. Yep. He couldn't have waited 24 hours.
Right. I mean, that's a rough look, honestly, for Georgia. And for, Georgia's, don't get me wrong, their tight end room is loaded. If you're a tight end choosing between Alabama and Georgia, it's a no-brainer. But if you're a receiver, it's also a no-brainer. If you're going to pick Alabama, it should be. So, Nick Saban seems willing. He seems willing to do anything that is required to win. He doesn't always seem to like the trends or to love what's happening in the sport, be it 10 years ago and going to the spread and up-tempo and all that, or in recent years, the NIL and the immediate eligibility for transfers. I mean, I don't think he likes those things or advocates for them, but I think he understands that reality is here and I got to change, and they seem to be doing a really good job of it. Because let's be honest, if you're a player outside of a top 15 or 20 program, or in Jermaine Burton's case, at the national champion, and you catch wind that Alabama might be interested in your services. That's a pretty tough offer to turn down. One, you get the chance to go play for a coach who sends a lot of guys onto the NFL. Two, probably going to win a national championship. And three, I'm willing to bet that Alabama has the NIL infrastructure to make playing college football more lucrative for you than
they would have taken him in the fourth quarter of the CFP game.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So I think Saban's dynasty remains intact. I'd have no long-term concerns. It seems to me as though he's doing what is necessary to maintain, his spot at the top of the sport.
So I don't know how much attention you've paid to this, but what in the way of vitriol are we dealing with when it comes to Notre Dame and LSU? Ed Orgeron visits Notre Dame last week. Brian Kelly's putting out Instagram posts that he deletes later. Seems like there's something going on between those two schools, and it makes sense. Brian Kelly leaving for LSU, Edo forced out because of all the allegations.
Well, yeah, now it's got to be about player wars, I would imagine, both in recruiting high school prospects and then with potential transfers, because these things are the unwritten rules of college sports have always been such that, if a coach leaves one school for another, he's not going to actively recruit the players from his previous school to come and join him. It's a little bit
those were the unwritten rules.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, to a certain extent, right? It's that you kind of let bygones be bygones, and
I guess
But hey, you lived it, and maybe you have a different perspective on that. But what I'm saying is that I think less and less that will be the case, and maybe it really wasn't even before. But I think now you're talking about guys being eligible immediately at their new schools, and so you're going to see more and more of players following coaches to new schools. I would imagine that's going to be at the forefront of almost every beef between a coach and his previous program is, okay, you're taking certain guys with you, not just players, but also coaches as well. So, I mean, it's got to be kind of dependent on some of that kind of stuff. It's going to get nasty, especially when you go from one top tier program to another. There's just too many egos and too many good players that are in the mix there for those things to go well.
They need to get a contract signed, though. They need to get some games going here at some point. While both those guys, while Marcus Freeman's still at Notre Dame, while Brian Kelly's at LSU, that has intrigue
the only
at this
problem
point.
Is that they could the ADs could get on the phone tomorrow, but then they would announce the series, and it would be for 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, David, I got to tell you, anything that far out does nothing for me because there's a chance I won't be around to see or hear about it. David Cobb visiting with us from CBS Sports on college football and college basketball. Used to be with the Commercial Appeal here in town and was Grizzlies beat writer there. Has been in a lot of great places, including the Knoxville News Sentinel, and did an internship with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So David has already been around and accomplished so very much in his career. David, there's so many things already that I'm making notes on for next year. And the 4 Alabama SEC road trips next year. Well, you could really say they have 5 SEC road trips with their non-conference game at Texas, but I'm just going to talk about for 2022 there are 4. I'm going to set the number at 1.5 for the over and under, 1.5. And you tell me road losses next year for Alabama in the SEC. They go to Fayetteville and Knoxville in the month of October. Of course, third Saturday in October at UT. And then in November, they go to Baton Rouge and to Ole Miss. All 4 of those places, any of the 4. Goalposts come down, party zone, biggest win of any kid in school then at the time, grown men crying, everybody happy. I'm setting the over and under at 1.5. What does Bama do on the road?
Oh, I'll take the under on that. If they lose 1, I mean, that's an Alabama team that is in some ways underperforming. I mean, I was so shocked last year when they lost at Texas A&M. I mean, that made no sense for them to lose that game at A&M. I mean, they were something
all
like
4 of those teams will be better than A&M was last year when A&M got them. All 4 of those will be this year.
If Zach Calzada can beat you, then a lot of quarterbacks can. I still take the under though. I mean, one, there's no way that Saban loses to Sark. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I know the curse is
If that's
finally been
non-conference.
lifted, but yeah, I mean, well, for now I guess it is, but yeah, I mean, I guess I would go under because I mean, Arkansas, yeah, they're on the upswing. Am I really going to pick Alabama to lose straight up at Arkansas? I don't know. I'm not there yet with Sam Pittman because I still feel like Arkansas and Sam Pittman are in a period where 8-4 and 9-3 is what we're considering to be, a pretty high level of success at that program because of where it was when he inherited it. So I don't just feel like you're at a level yet with the depth, with the high-end, highbrow talent to really beat Alabama. And then, I mean, I guess the one that really you really do wonder about is LSU and what is LSU going to be? And because every time you go to Death Valley, it doesn't matter really what time of year or really the condition of LSU's team. There's always a chance that something can happen there. So that's the one that I look at and think, all right, Alabama could potentially lose that game. But I don't know, with Ole Miss, I'm not saying it's impossible. It just feels to me like this is going to be a total reboot year for that Ole Miss offense. With as many running backs as they lose, as many quality receivers as they lose, not to mention Matt Corral and a play caller. It's just hard to know. It's hard to trust or believe on the front end without having seen much of them yet. That Ole Miss could be the one to do it. So not impossible. I just don't really trust any of those teams to be in a position when Alabama comes to town to say, yeah, you know what? They're going to upset the Crimson Tide straight up. I can't get there yet at this point in the calendar.
So JT Daniels makes his jump from Georgia to West Virginia. Is this sort of the last-ditch effort for Neil Brown to get it right at West Virginia?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're bringing in Graham Harrell as well, who was JT Daniels' offensive coordinator his second year at USC. So some familiarity there.
Backyard brawl ought to be fun. Two former USC guys.
Isn't that interesting? Right. So, yeah, obviously you get Keaton Slovis at Pittsburgh now against JT Daniels at West Virginia, who was replaced by Keaton Slovis at USC in 2019. And now, of course, Slovis has been unseated. It's just the quarterback carousel in college football is ridiculous. But that will be fun. So, yeah, no, it's Neil Brown was regarded as a rising star in college football coaching after what he did at Troy, and it seemed like he was going to get things going, replacing Dana Holgorsen at West Virginia. That program had been pretty solid under Holgorsen, but the offense has just been really bad. And so, yeah, I would say last-ditch effort seems like an appropriate way to put it. I think JT Daniels should be pretty good. I think he'll be an upgrade. I totally trust that they're going to have enough playmakers around him to maximize what he can do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember Will Greer at West Virginia a few years back, similar type of player, a transfer with a big arm who came in there. But he had a couple of really, really high-end, 1,000-yard plus receivers that he was throwing the ball around to. I'm not totally sure that JT Daniels is walking into a situation there in West Virginia that has as much talent as maybe what they have had there in the past.
Last thing for you, David, and he's at David W. Cobb on Twitter. Covers college football and college basketball for CBS Sports. We have talked about it a little bit today, but the Tigers basketball program loses two more guys over the weekend. Amani Bates, not a surprise. Tyler Harris is more or less a surprise. And we were debating if it was 9, 10, or 11 players that have either gotten the transfer portal or NBA draft. I think it's 10. But either way, those are massive numbers we're looking at. It really looks like at this point it's going to be an uphill battle just for Penny to put together a roster playable next year.
Yeah, I need a spreadsheet almost. I mean, and I've followed all of them. I wrote something about Amani Bates the other day. But yeah, Tyler Harris. Like I would never have guessed after it seemed like the reunion went so well this past season.
Sad.
I just never would have guessed. Like honestly, that he would be a guy who would be moving on, and it makes you wonder kind of like what's going on behind the scenes there. Why exactly is that happening? It's going to be huge for Penny to do well in the portal. I mean, that's essentially at this point in the calendar your only hope. Now, I will say this to Memphis fans out there who are worried: you are not the only program in this position. There are so many. There are dozens of other pretty decent programs out there right now who are, looking to replace 6, 7, 8 guys right now, primarily through the transfer portal. So, on the one hand, rest assured that Memphis is not unique. This is the way things are now. On the other hand, there's a lot of competition out there for guys as well. And so can Penny be somebody who is as attractive to transfers as he has been to top flight heralded incoming freshmen? We'll see. He's had a pretty good track record, I would say, to this point. I mean, DeAndre Williams and Landers Nolly were the backbone of the team for consecutive seasons, both as transfers. So it's just different because I don't know that you're pitching transfer guys on going to the NBA right away, because if they could do that, they would be doing it. And so it's a different sales pitch and it's a different mentality. And for Penny, who's built his entire program on sending guys to the NBA, it's just a harder sell with transfers because those are not always guys who can ever get there, even if they reach their full potential. So he's going to have to just reorient the way he builds his program, and it's going to be fascinating to follow over these next few weeks, kind of what direction he goes with building that roster.
And he still had some guys on campus. Still had Caleb Murphy and Kendrick Davis on campus for some unofficial visits this weekend. So he's doing what he can in the transfer portal. We'll see how it works out for next year. David, appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, David. David Cobb with us every Monday. And this month, it's Chevy Truck Month, and it's rolling in Olive Branch. At All-Star Chevrolet, you can see every new and certified Silverado truck you can imagine. Crew cabs, double cabs, 4x4s, high country. Great deals. 0% financing available. Your good credit, it deserves that. You'll get it at All-Star. You can even get $1,000 allowance for accessories or get bonus cash. Kevin and Jeff, they're crushing it, getting all the new 2022 Equinox SUVs to Olive Branch. First exit as you go into Mississippi on Highway 78, take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there at All-Star Chevrolet. Really affordable new Chevy SUVs. If you want to pre-order, Kevin, Jeff, the whole team there, they can show you all the new Chevys and more in the pipeline. Go to allstarautogroup.com and check out hundreds of certified and pre-owned right there at All-Star. If you want to sell your car, the go-to place to sell any car or truck for some crazy cash is at All-Star. Get a check today, and you don't have to buy one of theirs. Just bring it on, even if you owe money on it. Remember, it's not South Haven. It's not the Pike. It's not Mount Moriah. It's not Bartlett. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Still have plenty to come up. We have to talk about more Grizzlies Timberwolves heading into Game 2 tomorrow night. We talk about what's on tap. Nuggets Warriors, Raptors 76ers, and Jazz Mavericks tonight as well. Also, we have to talk about Game 1s all around the NBA playoffs. We'll do that at about 5:30. But coming up next, we have to talk about what transpired over the weekend with Tiger basketball. Tyler Harris into the transfer portal. Also, Amani Bates into the transfer portal. You're listening to Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Jeep Celebration event at Ram Truck Month is still going strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. Get legendary performance in 2022 Dodge Challenger XST, $398 a month or $32,415. Looking for supercharged and super fast? 2022 Dodge Charger XST, $439 a month or $35,780. And workhorse ready 2022 Ram 1500 Tradesman, $445 a month or $35,890. And don't miss 2021 Fiat 500X, $289 a month, 30 MPG Highway. Plus trade up and get more for your ride at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. So drive past the rest and come to the best or shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months at 3.99, 3,500 down, must finance through Chrysler Challenger, NH128,583, MSRP 33,415, Charger XST, NH126,525, MSRP 36,780, 1,500, MSRP 39,140, 500X, MP9, 45,5410, MSRP 28,560, includes all rebates and incentives, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 4/30/2022, dealer stock only.
Tactical Guns and Gear is having a huge spring cleaning sale. $250 off all B&T subguns, APC 9s, GHM 9s, and TP 9s, or any primary weapon systems AR or AR pistol like the MK116 Mod 2 rifle. They also have the MK111 Mod 1 pistols at $250 off. Home Defense, Stoger, M3000 semi-auto shotguns, and P3000 pump shotguns in the sale. All the ammo you want. It's spring sale time at Tactical Guns and Gear in Collierville, the one-stop shop for all tactical guns and suppressors.
I'm here with Kyle Storms from Big Green Egg. Kyle, I hear people all the time say how they love their Big Green Egg, but what makes a Big Green Egg so great?
Thanks, Stats. The fact that our grill is made out of the highest quality ceramic allows our customers to smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all while locking in the most amount of heat and flavor in their favorite foods.
What kind of fuel does the Big Green Egg use?
100% natural lumpwood charcoal. That's really where half our flavor comes from.
How many sizes does the Big Green Egg come in?
We have 7 different sizes and all different configurations ranging from metal stands, wood tables, and metal carts with a lifetime warranty. So we really do have a size and price point for everyone.
Where can someone go to see the entire lineup of Big Green Egg?
Garden Spas and Pool, Germantown Hardware, Hamilton's Fireplace and Grills, East Memphis Ace, and Cordova Ace Hardware.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
I think this is the best chicken I ever had.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Hour 2 is here. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. Hour 2 sponsor is our good friends of the Big Green Egg. So I want to open the text line 901-360-8255. I want you to give your thoughts on the Tigers losing 2 guys over the weekend to the transfer portal, Amani Bates and then Tyler Harris. Also, Jalen Duren today has officially made his announcement. That is now 10 guys, either NBA draft bound or in the transfer portal to this point. So there's still open for a few more weeks as far as the transfer portal is concerned. We will keep you updated on that. But get your text in 901-360-8255. You can also message us on our social, Sports 56 WHBQ, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So I guess I talked about this in my Not Top Story of the Day, Brett. But more than any other transfer or movement we've seen this offseason, whether it's coaches, players in this Tiger basketball program, I think for me, the Tyler Harris movement and the way it happened is the most damning and the most concerning.
It was jarring Saturday morning to see, I think, from Matt Norlander first, the tweet, and then the Bates kind of official news that we all suspected came, but it was lost. The Bates news was lost in that the player that came back, the player that in a stretch with a lot of injuries last year held the team together. At one point we were talking about him being the MVP of the team, and I said then, if he's your MVP, you're not very good. Well, he ended up not being the MVP because Duren did with what he came on and did, but Harris held it together.
I mean, from a shot-making perspective and from a when everyone was hurt, this is the guy who stepped up perspective, Tyler Harris was the MVP of the team. And I understand, yes, grand scheme, Jalen Duren's the guy who came on at the end of the year and had to be the guy offensively, defensively that was bringing together. Also, DeAndre Williams is another guy you could put in that conversation.
After he got well. Mm-hmm.
But it's just frustrating in a lot of ways because you see, and I know there's always going to be people with Penny can do no wrong. I think there's a lot of people that will do that. And I think in the grand scheme of things, hiring Penny Hardaway was a good move at the time. Made sense. Butts in the seats, recruiting, yada, yada, yada. But the spin I have seen, Brett, is so frustrating. This is a guy in Tyler Harris who was loyal, who took a smaller role, who came along when no one else really wanted to come along, and played as a walk-on this year. Paid for his schooling, paid for school. And you sort of unceremoniously, and he's from the city as well, played on your team in AAU during his childhood growing up. And you kick him to the curb sort of unceremoniously, and you hear people in the fan base talking about he won't accept the minutes that he's going to be offered next year after the performance he had this year. He won't accept his role after how well he played. They're trying to recruit to upgrade his position. There's all these excuses, but in the end of the day, it is damning to kick a guy to the curb like this who offered you so much this year for so little. It was a low
almost
risk.
use him up, spit him out.
It was a low risk, high reward thing. I understand that, but he gave you what you wanted. You get to the tournament for the first time in 8 years, and he's right back out on the curb this year.
Yeah, and Gabe, if anybody is irritated with us over the of us saying that he was kicked to the curb, don't take it up with Brett and Gabe and Bryant. Take it up with
that's what it
Tyler
was.
Harris and his mother. Take it up with Mrs. Harris. That's what they're saying.
That's what it was. I mean, there's no other way to put it. There really is no other way to put it. And I think it's very clear that Penny wants to go into the transfer portal and get guards and put them in a good position. But to predetermine in a year like this, where you don't know what your roster is going to look like next year, to predetermine that you're going to have the guards to be able to replace that production and he wouldn't be part of the rotation, so you're telling him to go elsewhere. I think that's way too early of a assumption. And I think it's wrong in a lot of ways. Have a guy who understands what you expect of him, what you want of him. You would think, and this is just my thought process, through a IARP investigation, through all this roster turnover, and think about the fact that you did make the tournament for the first time in 8 years. You would think you'd want as much continuity as possible coming back next year. And throwing him out does not help with that.
Players, fans are accustomed to it. And Gabe, and we've said, I'm convinced there is nothing that would ever get Penny Hardaway fired from this job. Nothing. No outbursts, no IARP, NCAA decision, nothing. And a lot of that reason that I believe that, and you hear people say around town, is, if the university had to do that would be probably, arguably, the two biggest names ever, both fired by the University of Memphis, Larry Finch and Penny Hardaway. And you also hear people add to that by saying there's no way they could do that no matter what he does, what's proven, what's alleged, any outbursts, because you could forget ever signing local players again. Well, Gabe, what does this say to local players and their groups,
what does it
and
say
their parents and their coaches?
And you say just local players, and I think it says a lot more to them than it does to the whole recruiting base in general. But what does it tell to the whole recruiting base in general? You can say just local players. You can put them in that group, and I agree with that sentiment. But there are guys around the country that see this development and they think differently about what's going on about what's going on behind closed doors.
You could even have said it, and I think I did, and got battered pretty good with it, because remember the original story around signing this player, getting him from kind of Penny's other backyard, bringing him to town, the good minutes that he had, and then cast away. Antoine Jones from Orlando. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, love Twan.
I remember.
Okay, so that one didn't sting because it was Antoine Jones, Orlando, way over there.
And you also he went to Creighton, and it was kind of unceremonious there as well. So
that's
you didn't
right.
see a guy absolutely ball out where he went.
That's right. So, yeah, no harm, no foul there. But if you're a player, fill in the blank, if you're a player at Hamilton or wherever, the storied Memphis high schools that have really funneled star player after star player to the University of Memphis since Larry Finch and Rodney Robinson really took the risk to stay at home with a lot of people telling them not to. Well, so over 50 years ago now, they did, and it started just that pipeline that conveyor belt of star after star that we get so attached to. And no doubt about almost as much as any program in the country, if it's local, we love them even more. If they're from Memphis, they're from Melrose, they're from Kingsbury, if they're from, we have and we just do. And now if I'm those guys out there, I'm scared to death of Penny Hardaway.
Mm-hmm. I do think there's levels to this. I do think there are levels. If there are big recruits, 4-star, 5-star guys in the area, I don't think Penny will be as unceremonious as it was with this. Because you got to think about it, was a walk-on player.
How do you know?
It was a 5'9" point guard. I understand that. But I do think it sends a message about loyalty in the program. Again, this is a guy, how long has Penny Hardaway known Tyler Harris? We're working on a second chance. We're working on a guy who was trying to get a third chance, come back this year and play. It does send a message to local recruits about what could happen to them if they don't necessarily play up to snuff, and if Penny Hardaway and staff find somebody else on the transfer market that they like more. Not good. Not good, to say the least. So now we're up to Sam Onu, Earl Timberlake, John Camden, Lester Quinones, Landers Nolly, DeAndre Williams, Amani, Tyler Harris, and Jalen Duren.
That's a long way from one ball, isn't it?
Long, long way.
And the minute distribution and 40-0.
So we're looking at the Lawsons, Malcolm Dandridge, potentially Alex Lomax, potentially. Don't know for sure. He did walk at senior day. And then who else outside of that? Who else? No, I mean, the roster, and Elijah McCadden at this point, transfer from Georgia Southern.
Elijah McCadden better be good.
The roster doesn't even necessarily have a starting lineup yet. You don't have a roster at this moment. Going to that, and I don't know who's still, going to the facility at this moment for workouts and everything else, but it's got to be an empty feeling. It's that Will Smith gif where he's standing in the middle of the living room and nothing's there, nobody's there, all the furniture's moved. That's really what it feels. That's got to be.
That's what I knew Will Smith most by until the slap.
You never watched Fresh Prince at all? Nothing?
No.
Nothing? None of his movies either. No iRobot, no. I Am Legend.
Independence Day. I said that during
the
whole dust-up.
You haven't even seen Pursuit of Happiness.
I have not.
Oh, that's a good one, Brett.
But I'm in Pursuit of Happiness.
And King Richard. King Richard's a good one. And back to the Tigers. What's going to happen with the coaching staff? Well, I mean, is Larry Brown going to stick around through all this?
Here's what I get. Here's what I get on Larry Brown from very good insiders. They say no way. From very good insiders, I hear he's staying. From very good insiders, they say I don't know. So there you go.
Somewhere. Something's got to be right?
I really brought it with that take, didn't I?
Yeah, you killed it.
I swear I get that. I mean, it's third. Don't know, gone, staying.
He's 81 years old. He's been through this before, too, with the NCAA.
And here's the thing about Larry Brown. When he was 31, he was very pliable. He could leave in a second. On a minute's notice, he could get unhappy.
Now, we have to go ahead and get to a break. When we come back from the break, Jason Munns wrote an article in the Commercial Appeal that I thought was very, very interesting. And it was about the NCAA and about a possible postseason ban for the Tigers, and still holding out hope that a postseason ban will not actually hit the Tigers through the IARP investigation and the notice of allegations. We'll talk about that when we come back on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello. The Family Leisure family is growing, and they want you to help them grow even more. Family Leisure is now hiring for multiple positions. They're looking for self-motivated, goal-oriented people to come and join their family. Some of the positions include sales for swimming pools, hot tubs, and patio furniture. There's sales and associates for chemicals. Parts and service department associates are needed. Service technicians, you got to have a valid driver's license, and cashiers are needed too. Family Leisure is also looking to add to their installation crews for building above-ground pools. Send your resume to Family Leisure now, 2120 Whitten Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 38133, or email memphis@familyleisure.com. You can also call 901-371-9090. So come and join the family at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun and you all come together.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
How do you want that cooked? Burn to a crisp or bloody as hell?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Back rolling, Sports Time on Sports 56. Gabe Kuhn and Brett Stats Norsworthy with you. AutoZone, listen to at 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Text questions, comments, and concerns into there. Been talking some Tiger basketball. Worth mentioning, it looks like Earl Timberlake has found his home. He has committed
with the Fighting Bryant Dakises,
and he is committed to Bryant.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Committed to Bryant. That's a step down though from Miami and Memphis to where he's been the past couple.
Well, it's a step down to being compared to Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be it's certain. I think he's understanding.
Look, I don't like all the
what he needs to do to be a part.
Disrespect to a school named after me.
But no, for him, it looks like he's
calling it now. 15 over the two next year for Bryant.
I'll say this:
100%.
For him, it sort of seems like he's realizing where he's needed the most and where he could make more of an impact offensively.
He's going to be there with Dougie Buggets.
I think he will. Doug Edert headed there as well with the mustache.
What a team!
I can't wait to their first game next year against who was it in the finals of the NEC tournament where they had the fracas.
Give me a second.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, we got to keep an eye on that
that first regular season game when they play next year.
You got to help us out with that, Bryant. You got to help us out with that. Also, Rodney Hamilton announced last week at the end of the week that he will be going to Northwestern State as director of ops there instead of staying at the University of Memphis. So losses just about everywhere. I will say, for the Tigers' sake, there really is a lot of guys out there on the transfer portal, more than we've ever seen. So the opportunity for Penny Hardaway and staff to be able to take advantage is there. Tyrese Hunter, for example, from Iowa State, just got into the transfer portal today, which was a stunner. DJ Jeffries is still out there. There's a lot of guys still out there for the taking, but it's about taking advantage of that and what the sanctions will be coming down. Now that brings me to Jason Munz and what he wrote last week, I believe it was on Friday, about the Tigers and what a postseason ban may or may not look like. And he says that there is hope in the grand scheme of things with the new IARP process, with the sanctions that have come down, that the Tigers could avoid a postseason ban. And more or less, Brett, and I want to hear what you think about this, the reasoning behind it was that the NCAA is at a point in their history where they want to distance themselves from postseason bans on people and players and coaches that were not involved previously. Now, the difference for the Tigers here is that Penny Hardaway seemingly will be around whenever these sanctions come down. So he was part of the original investigation. But how much do you think the NCAA really is trying to distance themselves from the example of Oklahoma State getting a ban under Mike Boynton?
I've got to see it to believe it. I've heard about NCAA reform and maybe feeling bad about past decisions, and then I see what they do to people near and far. So I want to wait and see on that. Almost inescapable that even if it's not a postseason ban, I don't know how Coach Hardaway gets out of this without a couple of games.
Oh no, certainly he's. I mean, based on him being involved in the direct level 1 allegations, I mean, certainly that's going to happen. Suspension seems relatively obvious, but a postseason ban is what you worry about, because that keeps recruits away. If you don't have a postseason ban, seemingly you can go recruit very similarly. You saw it at Kansas so far, and I don't know, they're still dealing with sanctions. They're still seeing what they're going to have to deal with.
They're in on all these players. They'll get in on the Iowa State player.
But I don't know how much I buy into that. The IARP was created to be different, right? It was created to be this brand new fangled process. It took a long time, but they finally handed down a notice of allegations that looks the exact same as what the NCAA would have handed out.
Copy and paste.
And they didn't leave off anything. They didn't try to be nice. They didn't try to make it lighter.
No, it was off the top rope.
It was the exact same thing. And I think also for the University of Memphis, it's different.
And that's just what's been revealed by the University of Memphis. We haven't seen full, unfettered, unredacted.
Yeah. And the other thing about this.
Imagine how rough that is.
Brett, there's a difference. Like the Oklahoma State, where they got a postseason ban. I thought that was wholly unfair. But they didn't have anybody in the building, really, that was involved with that process.
And they were very compliant.
And they were compliant. That's the other part of it. Memphis was not. Openly defied the NCAA by playing James Wiseman when they did. I understand the restraining order. That's the first thing people will text into me. Oh, there was a restraining order. They were within their right to do so. They still openly defied the NCAA and played an ineligible player.
You willingly joined the group. You play by the rules.
So the truth of the matter is, it feels, while I know there's positive spins out there, and I think Jason Munz did a good job of laying out the thought process behind not getting a postseason ban, I think a postseason ban is very much on the table and almost likely in a lot of ways.
Feels like it.
Yeah, it really does. Now, over the weekend, how about RBC Heritage? What are we doing on our golf picks? How are we doing?
I'm
are you leading the way, Brett?
Gabe, I'm almost certain I sent you an update last night. Did you not peruse it?
I didn't get to.
Gabe was having too much fun on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, sure.
Too much USFL.
Yeah, I was.
Brett leading with over $2 million in the bank. Had a $330,000 weekend from Matt Kuchar.
Good for you, Brett.
Bryant, did you pull up another zero?
No.
No. 17,000 above zero.
Okay, there you go. That's better. It's better than it was last week.
We're growing every day. We're getting better and better each and every weekend. So we start off low, and then you're gonna say, don't worry about Brian. Then I'm gonna.
Now
they always talk about 1% better every day.
Exactly.
1%
this
better.
week at the Zany Zurich Classic, the team format, it is essentially double pay because both players get paid the full prize. So the winner that might win, let's say, $2 million, that's really $4 million.
Oh, new strategy.
There you go.
And this week, your shock is not there's no OWGR because it'd be too hard to do. It's going to be anybody you want, and that could pay quad.
Oh,
so
wow.
you think about if you won that as your shock, that's $8 million.
That's exactly what I need.
There we go.
That may be the biggest tournament of the year.
That's not 1%
Zany
better.
Zurich Classic.
That's substantially.
That's 100% better.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot better. Jordan Spieth won the RBC Heritage though. Got to see him win in a play. I mean, and he came up clutch.
Good playoff.
Came up clutch too. He was
two good players.
What was he? 12 under going into the 18th. Got to 13 under going into the clubhouse and figured it out against Cantlay in a playoff.
Yeah. Two Ryder Cuppers, two good players.
Also, speaking of golf, did we see the new match? Did y'all see who it's going to pit? Who's going to be playing against each other?
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Las Vegas, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
I'll watch USFL that day.
Versus Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Who's winning? Easily Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, right? Come on.
Somebody's charity's winning.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Are you guys done with the matches? That's the
after you take out the golf out of the matches. Give me a break.
Man, that's so 2020, May of 2020 COVID. No thanks.
Damn.
You need Brooks and Bryson.
Even
again.
if it's for a good cause, you guys are totally. I mean, just
great
opposed.
cause.
Great
knock
cause.
yourself out.
I'm not giving any money.
Damn.
Not a dime.
Well, you don't have to. You can watch them.
Well,
give away money.
No, that's what I'm saying. Me sitting there watching the TV is not helping those charities at all. So
no,
I'm not a part of it.
Go charity,
that's
go.
them. I'm glad they're doing it, but I'm just not going to watch.
Okay. You guys are just the bad people. That's all I'm hearing right now. That'll do it for hour number 2. Hour number 3 is on the way. We still have to get some reactions from game ones around the NBA playoffs. Also, on the other side, bring on DeMichael Cole to talk some Grizzlies. Grizzlies, of course, lose game 1, head to game 2 tomorrow, 7:30. We'll talk to him. He, of course, covers them for the Commercial Appeal. We'll do that right here on Sportstime with Gabe and Sets.
Is your bank standing in the way of you and your sportsbook? Try Action 24/7. We're cutting out the middleman. Deposit or withdrawal in cash. No more bank delays or failures. Action 24/7 has more than 100 partners in Tennessee for cash deposits and withdrawals. Visit action247.com for a location. Cash deposits and withdrawals from your Tennessee sportsbook. Action247.com. You got action.
Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
In the alley since 1948, the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see everything kind of getting back to normal.
Brett, we've done a lot of ads before, but maybe it's time for me to do a recap. We have valet parking at the end of our alley on Monroe. On Fridays and Saturdays, we give away our wonderful red beans and rice until it runs out. And you know we like to do things local. Miss Barbara Jackson of O Taste and See has been making these wonderful chess and pecan pies. That's pecan, not pecan, end, and key lime pies for dessert. And we just started serving this wonderful gelato from Sweet Magnolia Gelato Company. And just to remind everybody, you don't eat cheese and sausage with a knife and fork. You take a cracker, you put sausage on it, you put a piece of cheese on it, a little mustard or a little sauce, take a bite, and chase it with the pickle. Brett, we've always been the place for all gatherings, whether they're corporate, rehearsal dinners, retirement parties, birthday parties, whatever. We seat anywhere from 20 people to 250 people. And oh, by the way, we are now open for lunch from 11 o'clock on Tuesday through Saturday. Come see us at the Rendezvous.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know.
I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
There's a damn fine automobile, if you want my honest opinion.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Back rolling. Hour number 3 on Sports Time is here. Hope everybody had a good Easter Sunday. You celebrated. I know Bryant brought this to me today. He said that we're going to have a Peeps taste testing. Brett, when are you in studio next?
Tomorrow. You can count on it.
Peeps taste testing tomorrow.
5:30 tomorrow. Book it.
Let's go.
You will get one bite in and realize they're just as they're an abomination.
We're making Gabe eat them too.
No, I will not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
What if I hurl?
I already.
Well, you got a trash can right beside
we'll
you in
handle
studio,
that.
so
We'll
you're all
that.
good.
Might make radio history.
We'll just cut your mic off. Nobody wants to hear that.
First time at Sports 56, someone's puked mid-segment. That'd be a fun one.
Would that be first time, Brett?
I don't ever remember anybody doing it. I think it would be.
Wow. How about that?
Brett, you can be the first.
I did one time, had kidney stone attack.
Ooh.
And it was more comfortable to lay down in the floor of the studio than it was to sit in the chair.
Ooh, kidney. I've
I
never
was
had
laying
one.
down in the floor.
Thank the Lord I haven't had one. And I hope I don't even want to say yet. I don't even want to put that
literally driving home that day, hit a chug hole on the old bridge, and it gave me instant relief.
Now,
what?
I promise you.
Someone needs to tell me though, like of all the Easter candy though that you get, and all the you got the kids out there doing the Easter egg hunt, yada yada yada. Peeps are by far the worst one. It's
you're not going to get that in an Easter egg. It's too big for an Easter
I'm just
egg.
saying it's not even remotely close.
Peeps are
fantastic.
Now, are we going to have a contrast? Are we Peeps only grading it, or are we going to have other Easter candy?
Will you tell me what other Easter candy you want? I'll go get it. I already have the Peeps.
And also,
bring them
speaking
all
of which, 901-360-8255. I want to know the listeners' thoughts on Peeps. Put it out on Twitter this weekend. Resounding, they're trash. I mean, resounding. Everyone agrees.
That's a loaded word, Gabe. Trash.
Oh, they're trash.
Crazy.
They belong in the trash. Let's bring in DeMichael and get his opinion on this. At DeMichael C., Grizzlies beat reporter for the Commercial Appeal.
Career
DeMichael,
risk coming on with us, DeMichael.
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Doing well.
We're doing well.
Opinion on Peeps. Have you ever had a Peep?
I haven't.
Oh, see,
we're gonna have to get DeMichael in here for the taste
Good for
test.
you know.
He's too busy for our tomfoolery tomorrow.
You know what you're doing, man. Good thing you've avoided them this long.
Listening to y'all go at it though, I'm a little interested. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a marshmallow covered in colored like sugar. It's boring.
Shaped like a duck.
See, Michael, I just say anything
Like,
with sugar on it, you're okay.
No,
you're good to go.
but
Look what we've done to pumpkin pie with sugar.
Listen, there are better ways to intake your sugar. You know what I mean? Than
I
eating
agree
a
with that.
marshmallow.
I raised my Coca-Cola.
There's so many better ways. All right, DeMichael, let's get into the Grizzlies. Grizzlies game one, drop it 130 to 117. And
it was
really,
sobering.
From start to finish, all of the things that we discussed last week that really could have gone wrong in this matchup against the Timberwolves went wrong. Jaren Jackson Jr. gets into foul trouble. They didn't shoot well. And defensively, they weren't as disruptive as they normally are.
Right. I mean, all of those things. And it's funny because when I wrote my story, I kind of pointed out, pretty much everything that the Grizzlies lead the NBA in, the Timberwolves either matched them or won those categories. Second chance points, advantage Timberwolves. A lot of the hustle stats were advantage Timberwolves. Rebounding, big advantage Timberwolves, 46-35. And, that just doesn't happen to the Grizzlies a lot. Even one of the bigger plays towards the end of the game, it was a 6-point game in the last 2 minutes. Grizzlies had almost got a stop. Could have got that stop, could have possibly made it a one-possession game. And I believe the ball got tipped to Malik Beasley, who kicked it out to Jaden McDaniels in the corner, made that dagger three. So that was another, the Grizzlies lead the NBA. Loose balls recovered. Didn't get that one. So it was just all those things that they're usually the best at. The Timberwolves won. So, I mean, if you're a fan of optimism, you say at least half of those are going to eventually even back out, right? It's one of those type things. But I think game one was definitely more of a wake-up call.
It was a wake-up call, and the alarm clock rang very loudly. Tough question, DeMichael. What out of game one easily correctable, and what out of game one may not be correctable? It may be something that Minnesota's tapped into, or they just do better than we thought they could.
Yeah, easily correctable, I think, is the hustle thing. That's energy, that's effort. I think even now, after seeing game one, you got to start Dillon Brooks on Anthony Edwards. By the time they switched him onto him in the second half, it was too late. I mean, he was already going. He'd already seen the ball go through the net plenty of times. There was nothing Dillon Brooks could do at that point. He was zoned in. You put him on him at the start of the game, you disrupted. So that's one thing that, that's easily correctable. Something that's not going to be as easy to correct is the shooting. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really like just going back to that point, but they are who they are from three-point range, and you're going against a team who made the most three-pointers in the NBA, and that played out in this game. They made 16 three-pointers. 16 three-pointers equal up to 48 points. The Grizzlies made 7 three-pointers. That equals up to 21 points. That is a 27-point difference, and the Grizzlies lost by 13. So you don't even have to equal. You don't have to make, match their 16 threes. You make, 10, 11. You make 11 threes, 12 threes, just to minimize that gap. And you're in that game, it's that much closer. I think shooting it's going to be tough because you wonder who they're going to get him from. Ja Morant has been amazing all season long, but they're blitzing him. When they blitz him, he's trying to turn it to corner and get to the basket. That's why he had 20 free throw attempts. That's why he only attempted 2 3-pointers, because when they blitz him, you can't even look at the rim from 3-point range. You have to, get away from the blitz, or they're going to trap you, double team you. He's not going to have anywhere to go. So Dillon Brooks shot the ball well. Desmond Bain shot 3 of 8 from 3-point range. DeAnthony Melton only played 14 minutes. We talked a lot about how he's been hot, but overall, the shooting is you wonder where is it going to come from, but it has to get better. It has to at least, you don't have to be at the level of the Timberwolves. Just minimize the damage there.
So, and I brought this up to Brett earlier in the show. How much of the first game, because the Grizzlies in the first quarters of most of the games they've played, especially throughout the regular season, they come out and they punch whoever they're playing right in the face. That's usually how it goes in the first quarter. This first quarter was not that way. Timberwolves were knocking down whatever they wanted to knock down. The Grizzlies were struggling. Ja was trying to defer to people. The people he was deferring to weren't making anything happen. How much do you think the hunted mentality came into that? Did you sense the Grizzlies playing with a little bit more tightness in that first quarter and throughout the first half?
I don't know if they were tight. I just don't know. Like, it's weird to say, because I feel like, the practice before that, they were super loose, like they were shooting hook shot 3-pointers. Like you didn't sense a tightness in that practice. They talked all week about being locked in, even before the game. You just wonder, maybe the moment kind of got to them a little bit. Pregame. You see all the towels, and because it was game one. Meaning they were the home team. In this, and even last season, when the games were at home, I believe it was it like 55% at that point last year when the games were in FedEx Forum. It wasn't,
right. Good point.
Season. So this was different. People point to last year's experience, but this is still a whole different ball game. Whereas this Timberwolves team, even though it was a home game, they just played a game in the play-in where it was all or nothing. So they came in, they didn't have to rely on that. And I think that's why it jumped out of the gate, 9-2, timeout Grizzlies, like straight off the jump. But even when the Grizzlies fought back, the Timberwolves, had an answer. So I think it's just what type of adjustments they'll make in game two.
DeMichael, notwithstanding that Brooklyn game at home in late March without a lot of the regulars, and that was a fun game, you could argue that Saturday was the first really critical game with everybody kind of in the mix since that trip to Boston, and we saw how that turned out back then. The Grizzlies just haven't played many important games in a while.
They haven't. I mean, they've been, that's the other side of clinching early. You don't get that burning fire like that dire need for a win for over 3 weeks now. But I mean, you can't really make that excuse, I don't think. The Miami Heat came out game one and destroyed the Atlanta Hawks. The Suns took care of business, in their matchup. And the Celtics had a lot of time off as well, and they played a really good Nets team and pulled out that win. So I don't know if it's, and even John Morant, he was asked about that in shoot-around, in practice earlier. He wouldn't make that excuse. He basically said that they scrimmage. They don't scrimmage a lot the way they have lately in the season because they had so much time off and they're able to, really get those reps. And he said they had 3 or 4 scrimmages, and, they were basically more prepared than a team who just, sits off and just doing shooting drills and things like that.
Mm-hmm. There was also a point in that game where, and I knew that, John Morant and Dillon Brooks are the offensive creators in a lot of ways, especially in that setting. But Ja, for most of that game, was the only guy. Dillon gave a little bit, not as much as what we have come accustomed to in a lot of ways. Last year against the Jazz, he was a lot more prominent in the offensive game plan. Who do you think, outside of those two, can become, in the playoffs, in this series, that third offensive creator? Can DeAnthony Melton sort of make his presence felt, as we really haven't seen him make his presence felt in the playoffs this far in his career? Last year against the Jazz, and then this game against the Timberwolves, he's sort of disappeared in a lot of ways.
Who's the second player? You said Ja and
John Dillon.
That's okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. I think Dez could be that guy because I think what we're going to see is Taylor Jenkins is eventually going to tighten up the rotation, even more. We got to see some Tyus Jones. Even DeAnthony Melton only played 14 minutes in that last, which is, not a lot for him. Usually he's closer to 20. So his minutes were kind of minimized a little bit. And maybe that was a part of him not being able to get in his normal rhythm. But I think, at the end of the day, we're probably about to get to the point where you're going to see Ja for 40. Dillon's probably going to be at 37, 38. Desmond Bane's going to probably be 37. So with that being said, I think you're going to have pretty much every point of the game, all those guys are going to be in the game at some point. Like, for example, towards the end of the first quarter, the sub is, John Morant and Dillon Brooks go out at the same time. So the second quarter, neither of them start the second quarter. That lineup is Tyus Jones, with Desmond Bane, Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Brandon Clark. Mm-hmm. But now what we're probably going to see more of is, for example, start the second quarter. Maybe Dillon Brooks will be in the game with Desmond Bane instead of maybe Zaire Williams. You're going to see little tweaks, I think, as you get in desperation mode. I don't think there's desperation mode yet, but you kind of going to have to tighten up the rotations because the Timberwolves didn't play around with it. I mean, Cat and Anthony Edwards both played 40-plus minutes game one.
Did.
There was no saving those guys for later in the series. They're clearly playing their best guys, and the Grizzlies going to have to do the same.
What do you think comes of Steven Adams in this series? Game one, I mean, next to nothing in the way of production of what we saw him do during the regular season. I think that has to do with him trying to be matched up on Karl Anthony Towns. That doesn't help all that much. What do you think comes of him? What kind of role can he play, at least defensively, against a team like the Timberwolves?
Game two will be really telling in terms of how they adjust, because what happened in game one was, for one, they isolated him, and it started, it became obvious to a casual fan when Anthony Edwards was just call a screen, and then once he gets, Steven Adams matched up on him, he just backs the ball out. It's like, everybody get out of the way. I got the matchup I want. And he was winning that matchup, even with Karl Anthony Towns at the top of the key. He led the NBA, and top of the key made 3-pointers. That's his spot. And I'm sure, that message has been communicated on the Grizzlies side. So Steven Adams probably is playing him up a little close in those situations. And Karl Anthony Towns was just jetting past them, easily. So once you factor in those things, you figure Steven Adams is a tough matchup. And then you mentioned, the rebounding. He had 3 rebounds. That's the least amount of rebounds Steven has had since November 28th. I wasn't even here yet at that point, guys. So, what they said after the game was Steven Adams was limited from the rebounding perspective in terms of the Timberwolves put a lot of bodies around him. Okay? So the adjustment to that is you see Taylor Jenkins saw on film, he is getting a lot of attention. Steven Adams, that is. Use that to your advantage. Think about Steph Curry with the Warriors. They don't even, sometimes they just let him run in circles because they know, the opposing team is going to have 5 eyeballs on him, and they have someone cutting through the middle for an easy layup and things like that. Use the attention that Steven Adams is getting from on the glass and create opportunities for others. I think that's how they're going to play it early in this game, and you're going to still, give him a chance to make that impact he's made all season. If he's struggling, if you witness a trend, as in if he's struggling the same way he did in game one, if they're going at him on defense the same way, then now you're talking about making lineup adjustments.
Yeah.
You're talking about playing Brandon Clark a little bit more. Brandon Clark played well in game one, by the way, 13 points, 12 rebounds. He played really well, but I think that's what it comes down to. In the simplest form, you have to give Steven Adams another chance. He's proven himself throughout this season, and he's one of the advantages on paper. The Grizzlies are number 1 in rebounding. The Timberwolves are 16th. On paper, Steven Adams is one of your biggest advantages. Maybe they just didn't execute their game plan the right way in game one. So we'll see what type of adjustments they make. But if game one plays out if game two plays out just like game one for Steven Adams, then you got to really switch up some things.
I know your beat is the team on the floor, the basketball team. Any comment made today or any release from FedEx Forum or the Grizzlies about maybe enhanced scrutiny, security tomorrow night with the demonstration that was played out on Saturday with the person being hauled out?
I haven't heard any hard thing about it, but yeah, I've just seen people say that was a security error, and that's clearly something they're gonna really take home to and try to prevent in this next game. But what I do know is, that group, the protesting group, they're very strategic. They have a PR team, behind them. Like this isn't something they're just, hey, this person go do this, this person go do that. No, this is a strategically done protest, and I mean, I don't think we have seen the end of it. I just think it's going to be in different ways. The first 2 times we've seen under the basket, don't think it's. I mean, now that's clearly going to be prevented.
If they're that organized, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know how the situation has gone, but they're protesting Glenn Taylor and his chicken farming, right? Isn't that the idea?
Right.
Glenn Taylor sold off his portion of the Timberwolves this past offseason to Mark Lore and A-Rod.
I mean, they need to go have a beef with somebody else. Pardon the pun on beef.
If they're that organized, you'd think they'd know sort of the fact around the ownership group with the Timberwolves, right?
Right, but I mean, Okay, I don't want to. Okay, so basically, this is what I think. I think the two women so far, and probably more of the demonstrators in this group, they probably don't care anything about basketball. I mean, if you're disrupting the playoff game like that, you could care less about basketball. So I'm sure there are more of them who just could care less about the Timberwolves. Their message is for they think that the basketball game has the most eyeballs on it, and that's how you get the most attention on what Glenn Taylor is doing. So I think it's more than about trying to get him to step down, from his ownership position. I think they're trying to get him in legal trouble.
I guess so. That's interesting, though. That's interesting. I hope it stopped.
Everybody has a cause.
I really hope there's no more of that. Now, for Taylor Jenkins, how much pressure do you think there is on him to get this right, adjustment-wise, game 1 to game 2? Because when we talk about coaching in the NBA, there's a lot of guys that can get it done in the regular season, but the playoffs is really when it shows. Ty Lue is a guy that always comes to mind when we talk about those things. How well equipped do you think he is to get this done, and do you think he'll get it done?
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the most enjoyable things for me throughout this season. Just trying to get inside of Taylor Jenkins' mind, because he is if you watch him on the bench, sitting courtside, I watch his facial expressions, his reactions up really closely, and sometimes when they go to timeout, he goes away from the whole team, from his assistant coaches, and takes his little whiteboard. He's just working through something, and he'll erase it. He'll write something else, put his hand over his face, think it through, and then go over there where the team is. And then you man, they just drew up a good ATO, and things like that. So he has a mad scientist vibe to him, in a way. And I think the best example was probably that Spurs game recently, when the Spurs, fought back in that third quarter, and the Spurs played that boxing one on Desmond Bain. That really messed the Grizzlies up. They hadn't seen that all season. And, Taylor Jenkins had to work that mind. He had to work that mind in that fourth quarter, and they were able to pull that game out. And he talked about how the Spurs threw a bunch at him. And, the Spurs, that's Greg Popovich. Now, that's Popovich throwing things at him, and he made that adjustment in the fourth quarter. So he's proven that he can make those adjustments. Now it's can you do it on the big stage? Because the thing about the play is, just because the Timberwolves won, they're not going to play the same exact way in this game. They saw weaknesses that they want to improve on too. So he's going to have to make adjustments and plan for other adjustments that the Timberwolves could make. So he's got his hands full, but I can't wait to see it.
Yep. Game 2 tomorrow at 7:30. DeMichael, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
You have a good one, DeMichael. And you can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC. Of course, he's the Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. So follow all of his work at commercialappeal.com.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road at 5704 Goodman Road. And they are very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. Go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com and check out all the cars. And check out all the referrals from very, very pleased repeat customers. Very high standards at DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars test driven, all checked out, bumper to bumper, head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go find that special car that you want just for you. You'll be treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid back atmosphere, down home environment, no high pressure sales tactics whatsoever. But they do care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, find the car you want, test drive that car. Credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee. They know we live in a world today that time really matters, and that's why they keep it so simple and so streamlined at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Tonight we have 3 game 2s, 2 in the West, 1 in the East, 1 in the East, Raptors, 76ers. Then after that, it's going to be Jazz, Mavericks. Then we'll end the night on TNT with Nuggets, Warriors, game 2. When we come back from this break, we have a lot to react to. Every single game 1 in the East and West, we will give you our quick, instant reactions on what we saw right here on Sportstime with Gabe and Stats.
Get your afternoon started with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sang and Sports 56 Grind Time. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released, available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You will love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of stock in proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier is the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
New message.
Hey, man, it's Devin. You know, from that time you accidentally emailed me because you thought I was a different Devin. Oh, and your email signature said confidential. If you receive this in error, please delete. That's so you. Anyway, I heard you bought a boat. When are we setting sail, Captain?
When you get a boat, you also get new friends. Make sure Progressive's one of them and get coverage today for as little as $100 a year.
Oh, and no, you did not receive this message in error.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We've all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, that's not possible. There are aerial pictures that can be taken every 4 years that can be used to measure most buildings, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof, or even if you need one, looking at pictures that could be 4 years old. If you'd rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, give us a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best service we know how to give. Five Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boost on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
You drove it, you love it. What more do you need to know?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
So I figured this was the case, and still my point stands on everything that we've seen with all the Timberwolves demonstrations, obviously there, and then this weekend in Memphis. Glenn Taylor still does own his majority stake in the Timberwolves, but he's selling it off little by little over the years to Mark Lore and A-Rod. So my point still stands, but he does still, by definition, have his stake.
Sounds to me like they need to be sore at somebody else.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But a PR team.
Yeah, that's wild. Over a chicken.
I didn't know you could have a PR team to violate the law.
Is this a branch
they did.
off
They
PETA?
violated.
Is this a branch off PETA?
Sounds like it.
And I don't want to badmouth PETA. They'll come after me.
Where's the Justice Department? Where's the RICO Act? how can they disrupt other people's enjoyment?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. It's just it's a little much. But the fact that she was able to get the chain in there and get down there,
she was standing down
easily,
there for a good minute.
So that's beyond me as well. That
Wonder
shouldn't
where
be
she
able
hit
to
the
happen.
chain.
That shouldn't
in
be
her,
able
in
to
her
happen.
tights like on Studio Wrestling.
Who knows? So
down in a boot.
We have covered the Grizzlies Timberwolves.
You know
game,
she
so
had big shoes on.
We have plenty of other game ones that we have to react to, and it started with the Jazz versus Mavericks. Jazz get that win, 99-93 over the Mavs. And look, I love Jalen Brunson. I love Spencer Dinwiddie. I love what they can do. I think Jalen Brunson this offseason needs to get his money. If Luka's out this entire series and he's able to lead them to a win, I think he should touch $100 million in his next contract, Jalen Brunson. But
you think it increases his value?
Absolutely. That's what we look for is playoff basketball. What can you get done as a point guard, as a guy who's going to be a high usage player? But the fact is, the Jazz are going to be a little bit too much for the Mavericks if the Mavericks can't get back Luka Doncic, and it already is being reported that Luka's out for Game 2 as well with his calf injury.
The Luka-less Dallas Mavericks. Ooh, that's sobering for them because, again, it's a long drought for them in between playoff wins.
Mm-hmm. I love to see the people, sort of turn on Donovan Mitchell, by the way. First half, he was, 1 for 9, something ridiculous, as he normally is. Every time I see him play, that's what happened. Second half, he ended up turning it on. He had 32 points, 10 for 29 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. But to see all the people sort of turn on him at halftime of that game cracks me up, considering this is what Donovan Mitchell is. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is a high-volume shooter. He misses a whole lot. He's very hot and cold.
Torrid hot streaks.
And Brett, that's kind of the reason that the Jazz are in the position they're in. That's why the Jazz are the 5 seed and haven't been that good, is because I think Donovan Mitchell previously shot at a higher clip. This year hadn't been that.
And some real question that if he'll be back with the Jazz next year.
Mm-hmm. And the Gobert-Donovan Mitchell match has always been – there's always been turmoil there. Whether it's outward or not so outward, you can feel it. You know that it's not going to end very ceremoniously, but we shall see.
Think of all – over the last 40 years for the Jazz. At one time, they had the Darrell Griffith, Mark Eaton kind of combo, and in that they had I want to say Adrian Dantley might have been in that mix. And then, of course, went to Stockton and Malone, and even had kind of a Darren Williams stretch that when he was pretty good there. And now they're in this one. You mentioned Gobert. You mentioned Mitchell. And
what's the show for it?
Still no titles.
What's the show for it? Nothing. And last year, again, you thought that title chance, their title window was open. 1 seed in the West, but even then, how many people really thought they were a title contender last year, even as the 1 seed in the Western Conference? Did people? I don't remember a whole bunch of people.
I thought they were until Game 1 against Memphis.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many people are thinking that now about Memphis after Game 1 Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would be fair, but I think the Grizzlies can certainly bounce back. After that, we had the Raptors, 76ers. 76ers at home just absolutely wiped out the Raptors, and the Raptors. Obviously, the final score 131-111, but the Raptors, I mean, they're in a bad spot. Scotty Barnes hurts himself in the fourth quarter, and he's been a ridiculously good rookie this year. He's actually one of the 3 finalists for Rookie of the Year alongside Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley, but he's going to miss Game 2. Also, Thad Young got injured early. His finger, I think, got caught up somehow, and Gary Trent Jr. was sick. He tried to sort of weather through it, and he tried to play, but he was not himself. He wasn't able to put up the volume of shots he's used to, so Gary Trent is going to be questionable. But the story of this one, Tyrese Maxey. If Tyrese Maxey can do this consistently throughout the playoffs,
we saw him do it against the Grizzlies.
We talk about that James Harden pressure. James Harden says he doesn't feel it. We know that the pressure's there. That takes a lot of pressure off James Harden if Tyrese Maxey can get
Makes it a little easier on him, doesn't it?
Oh, gosh,
and,
yes.
And you're going to get it from Embiid. But we saw kind of the Tyrese Maxey game against the Grizzlies for Philadelphia. And you pointed that out the very next day. If they can get that consistently, then that takes the pressure off the bigger gun, James Harden. And for the 76ers, Gabe, other than winning it all, maybe just to the NBA Finals or to the Eastern Conference Finals, does that back off detractors?
I don't think so. I think you have to at least get into the NBA Finals. But then again, with the star power they have in James Harden, Joel Embiid, and for the most part, I know that you wouldn't think of him on the same level of stardom as these guys, but Tobias Harris has been a good player, has been a guy that you expect. He's been an all-star before.
That fan base was patient for a long time. Went through that long rebuild, 10 wins, 11 wins.
I think anything less than at least like a NBA Finals showing, get in there, be competitive, I think that you're hearing the same murmurs. I don't think there's any pressure off of Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, James Harden. It just is what it is. But if Tyrese Maxey can do that again, 76ers could be able to make a nice run. Then we had the Nuggets versus the Warriors. And I think Steph Curry played in game one. He came off the bench for whatever reason. This game kind of put me back into believing the Warriors can win a championship. If Jordan Poole is able to
do that every game, though.
But here's the thing: the back half of the season so far this year, he been able to.
And Draymond was terrific.
When Steph Curry was out, when Draymond was out, Jordan Poole had to be that type of scorer. He's capable of it. Will he do it every game?
Draymond was about as good as you can be with Joker. I mean, he still got his, and his stat line looked great, but it was a really good performance against him, and I was off. I thought Denver was going to steal that game.
12, 6, 9, and then 3 blocks for Draymond Green. That's a perfect line for him. That's what he does, and
that hangs in the rafters.
Yes, I mean he that team, and we've talked about obviously Steph being on the floor as the main thing, but Draymond Green being on the floor for them over the years has been almost an underrated thing. I mean, what he's done now, too, he's transformed his game. I remember the first couple of years of Draymond Green. Obviously, he came off the bench at first, but once he started to start for them, I mean, he could score a little bit. He has stopped the whole scoring thing, does not shoot a lot of shots, and he is a distributing fool and plays defense at a high level. His role has changed throughout the years, and I think for the better in a lot of ways.
Smart player, too.
Mm-hmm. But Jordan Poole was the story. 30 points, 9 for 13 shooting, 5 for 7 from 3. Will he be able to do that every game? Probably not. But he's a good player.
But Steph McClay can step up.
Yeah, he can fill it up. He can fill it up at a high level. Then we started Sunday, Hawks Heat. Sweep. We getting the brooms out for this one. 115-91. The Heat came in and just absolutely clobbered the Hawks. And Trae Young with I think, career low of 8 points in this game. 1 for 12, 0 for 7 from 3.
Felt like Atlanta kind of made their season by winning, getting out of the play-in.
Well, we always talk about this rest versus rust stuff. We always talk about, if you're in the play-in, maybe you can come into that first game, whether it's a 2-7 matchup or a 1-8 matchup, you can come in that first game and be competitive. The Heat took the competitiveness out of the Hawks immediately. The Heat defensively, and they haven't been a huge national TV brand this year, and they haven't been in the national spotlight all this much. They've just been very, very consistent. But defensively, they are intense. They are built for this situation. They are built for the playoffs.
Yeah,
and Trae Young felt that.
Their biggest national news was the Jimmy Butler incident on the bench a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but they're deep too. I mean, off the bench, Duncan Robinson.
Well coached.
Duncan Robinson, I believe, had a career high in playoff threes for any Heat player in franchise history with 8. He was 8 for 9, 27 points. Tyler Hero comes off the bench. Gabe Vincent has given them good minutes off the bench the entire year. Struce, they just got a deep team. They have a very, very deep team. I like what the Heat are bringing to the table. They do have to show me a little bit more, though, in the fact of I want to see them show me they're a championship level team. I want to see what they can do here. Can they sweep the Hawks? Can they how well can they make this run? What can they make it look like on the way there? So I like the Heat, what they did in game 1, but they got to keep that up. Now, Celtics Nets, 2 versus 7. This is the fun one in the East. Celtics win 115-114. Last second spin move, layup by Jason Tatum. Had
to have it.
A great move. Great move. They tried to wipe it off at first. They ended up letting it count 115, 114. This is going to be a hell of a series.
It is, and it felt almost like an Eastern Conference Finals game most of the day.
Mm-hmm. And and we knew it would happen, but the Celtics fans just giving it to Kyrie Irving. Although
and him giving it back.
I was going to say, it fed him, though. 39 points, 12 for 20, 6 for 10 from 3. I mean, it fed
Best
him.
guard in the league when he plays.
And a lot has been made, and I've seen too much made about. I mean, Kyrie Irving did flip off the fans a few times and got into it with them a little bit. Then after the game, they asked him about it. He said, "It's not every fan. I don't want to attack every Boston fan, but when people start yelling the P word, the B word, and F you and all that, there's only so much.
That's a lot of words.
There's only so much you can take as a competitor."
Good for him.
Can I say this? All the people with the "what about the kids" stuff, just stop. Stop. Why do we let everybody else be human except for the guy that's actually playing the game?
That's right.
What about the kids for the guy screaming "F you" at Kyrie?
Exactly.
From the sideline. I mean,
maybe his dad.
We let everyone be a human
maybe kid's
being.
Dad.
We let everyone be a human being except for the players on the damn court. He has to turn the other cheek. No, sometimes he gets frustrated, and I don't blame him for getting frustrated.
Gabe, we may have set a sports talk show record today, especially an NBA market town like we are. And we went 2 hours and 40 minutes before the first mention of it, and I think that highlights how little it bothered any of the three of us.
Oh, my gosh. What about the kids? I heard Richard Jefferson saying it on NBA Today. What about the kids? Shut up,
and I like
Richard.
Richard Jefferson.
Shut up, Richard.
Grow some hair, Richard.
You can't. Just go post another TikTok video,
Really?
Richard. What about the kids?
You know,
the kid's dad was screaming F you. He was calling him a P word, all right? The C word, all the A, B, C, D, E, F, G word.
They have Ian Eagle and Richard Jefferson night in, night out. That's really good stuff for a local tandem.
Mm-hmm. But damn, this is going to be a fun series. But let's. I mean,
then we had the rock fight between the Bucks and the Bulls. Yeah, but enough said.
But last thing I'll say on the Kyrie thing: let him be a human being, just like the people yelling at him are being.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bucks Bulls. I thought the Bulls hung in there better than I mean, they hung in there a lot better than I thought they would.
The man in the headband kept them close.
Mm-hmm. Caruso, how about him? And I don't want to spend too much time on it because I know how it's going to sound coming from me. But my gosh, he really does provide a whole lot on both sides of the floor. Defensively, of course, we know what he can provide. But the fact that he's able to move the ball the way he can, and he's a plus guy on the offensive end. He can shoot a little bit. He can get you off the dribble. He can distribute. I like what he provides. And then also, Suns-Pelicans last night, 110-99.
Good Pelican effort. It was.
Yeah. I think they wasted
just
a lot.
Task.
They wasted a lot in the play-in against the Clippers.
They did.
They came
but after
back.
the start they had to the year to be here, when I saw them in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl, when I was in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, I would have never thought they would be even the 8th seed.
and Chris Paul, 30 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. He was unbelievable last night, but I will still stick by this. I don't know if there's a better player in NBA history than Chris Paul up by 10. Seriously, he takes every shot and makes everything from the mid-range.
Goes the line.
But he sort of waits till he's got that 8 to 10 point lead, and then he gets to his spots.
I know two good spots for barbecue in this town. That's the new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original, the mainstay since the early 80s in Germantown. Great Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, so delicious and authentic Memphis-style great food. If you're craving an easier way to order that great food, text Commissary to 33733. Maybe tomorrow night. Definitely by the time the playoffs swing back here, we get outside on the patio to enjoy the games on the TV at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, where live music will be a lot of nights during the summertime. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a sandwich on the plate, all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well, and you can order it by the pound, a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack, and save room for dessert like the lemon icebox pie or the outstanding banana pudding. Also in there, the salads, the great Boss Man salad, the barbecue shrimp, the hot tamales dressed with chili, cheese, onions, fresh and chili and cheese and fresh onions. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com. In Collierville and Germantown, great party areas that we're getting ready to enjoy, like at Collierville, the Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown.
Let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we get to Taco Bell Crunch Time. Stick with us.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
People always ask me, what does being a dealer for the people really mean? Does it mean the best value or the best service or the best selection? This is Colin Johnston from DeSoto Auto Sales. For the people is a simple idea. We believe everyone deserves to drive a nicer, newer car. This belief drives the entire team at DeSoto Auto Sales to care more, to try harder, and to work smarter. We're dedicated to helping you find the perfect car for your life and budget. Many people come to DeSoto Auto Sales for help. Maybe they're making payments on a car that's no longer right for them. Or maybe they owe more on their car than it's worth. Or maybe they've had credit problems in the past. Or maybe they're just nervous and want to make sure they're taken care of. No problem is too big for us. We may not be able to help everybody, but I guarantee we will try our best to help you. I'm Colin, and I'm a dealer for the people. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Give us a call at 662-890-7184 or pick out your nicer, newer car at DeSotoAutoSales.com.
This is Matt Crowder live at the gas station on 41st Street reporting on those skyrocketing gas prices. Excuse me, miss, are you buying less gas now because of the high prices?
Oh, I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute, are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Well, does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, well, there you have it. Stop paying full price for gas. Download the free Get Upside app and get real cash back every time you buy gas. This is Matt Crowder, Radio News Network. Download the free Get Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PLAY for a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PLAY for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code PLAY.
It takes guts to open a barbecue place in Memphis, and 20 years ago this month, Craig Blondis did just that when he opened the first Central Barbecue. It's a tribute to the commitment to make barbecue the right way, slow smoked until it's perfectly tender and delicious, that Central Barbecue hasn't just survived for 20 years, but flourished and grown with 4 Memphis locations and one of the busiest catering operations in the city. Every week this month, each Central Barbecue location will be featuring food specials and Memphis-made drink specials as a way of saying thank you, Memphis. Now come get some ribs.
Hi, I'm news correspondent Bob Woodruff. In 2006, a roadside bomb struck the armored vehicle I was riding in while reporting from Iraq. I sustained a life-threatening traumatic brain injury. The military term "got your six" means I have your back, and that day, our service members had mine. During my recovery, I learned firsthand the challenges facing our service members who return home with injuries. While serving, their fellow service members always had their six. Now that they're home, it is our turn. We started the Bob Woodruff Foundation to make sure that the camaraderie and support they relied on in the military carries on, and we need you. Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative and help us be there for impacted veteran service members and their families. They've had our backs. It's time we have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org. That's gotyoursix.org, using the number 6.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
I couldn't believe it either, but that thing runs like new.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
My nail tech knows how to keep it a little secret. I don't wish for my success, I speak it. I caught a buzz and you did too, but you tweaking. I look like I've been getting money, how reeking. You smell me, that's LV. Walk around with my chest out, my skin smooth, I'm healthy.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live in your life have you seen anything like that?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, what I learned today is that the 2021-22 NBA awards finalists have been announced, and there's a lot of Grizzlies. Well, not a lot, but there's a couple of Grizzlies sort of showings on there, and that's not necessarily what we're always used to. For MVP, not a surprise here, Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. Rookie of the Year, Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. Sixth Man of the Year, Tyler Hero, Cam Johnson, Kevin Love. Defensive Player of the Year, Mikal Bridges, Rudy Gobert, Marcus Smart. A lot of people thought that would be another Grizzly. You thought you'd get Jaren Jackson Jr. on that list. He ends up being omitted. But here's where we have the Grizzlies. Most Improved Player, Darius Garland, DeJounte Murray, and Ja Morant. And NBA Coach of the Year, Eric Spoelstra, Monty Williams, and Taylor Jenkins. I don't think Taylor Jenkins will win Coach of the Year, but I would have to imagine, based on the leap we've seen from Ja Morant year 1, year 2 to year 3, that he'd have to be Most Improved Player. Have to be.
Would have to be, Gabe, and it's just the start of annually a lot of Grizzlies players and the coach being on these lists. What I learned, the Grizzlies have to back up the talk. Smoke up the chimney, smoke down the chimney, all the smoke. Stop with all the stupid smoke talk and go win, whether it's Grizzlies or Tigers. Show me. Show us. Stop the cocky. Do the winning.
Oh, come on. I like the smoke talk, Brett. But it doesn't do much if you can't win in the playoffs and when it matters. I'll give you that. But I like the smoke
flame.
talk. I like the trash talk. It builds up a series, and it definitely brings some fandom to your team. And I think a lot of people sort of attach themselves to that. But I agree with your sentiment. I think that's fair. What I could have done without. USFL Week 1. Paxton comes back, fumbles, throws a pick, did not look very good. He had 1 yard on the day passing. I think he had 14 yards rushing. Not a great return. And also for the USFL, did you see the crowds, guys? I know we're talking about one stadium. You could literally count them on one hand. On Saturday was
crowds.
Saturday was a little better than Sunday. Honestly, though, Brett, I don't even think we could call them AAF crowds. With all due respect,
really,
yeah, Saturday was horrible. You knew Sunday would be
Saturday
bad.
was better,
but you knew Sunday would be terrible because of Easter.
Ugh.
But you expected Saturday, opening day, first games you ever get to see played in the new USFL.
The Birmingham team playing.
Yeah, the Birmingham team playing on Saturday. You thought it
How'd
would
Herschel
be better.
Walker look for the New Jersey Generals?
Oh, he was fantastic.
How many yards rushing?
Brett.
Good.
Yeah, over 400. It was great.
But
400?
Oh, yeah.
It did not look good. It did not
Gary
look good from a
Barbaro
fan
looked good in the
perspective.
secondary for New Jersey.
Gary Barbaro?
Gave up more yards than expected, Brett. You know, we have to keep an eye on him.
Also, hey, by the way, and I should have put this in what I learned today, but shout out my man Jason Stewart, backup quarterback for the University of Memphis, playing in fan-controlled football.
Is he really?
He's playing in fan-controlled football, and
Wow.
he's doing a heck of a job. Doing a heck of a job.
I could have done without this. You hear all the time, the same teams always win it in college football, that complaint. In the 21st century, 15 different teams from baseball, 15 from the NFL, 13 from college basketball, 12 from college football, 12 from the NHL, and only 10 different NBA teams win it. I think that's, for college football, that's not the same team. It's the same league. Now, that's a different complaint, but it's not one team winning it every year in college football. The NBA is the closed society, and this year looks like that could loosen up.
Mm-hmm. And I like it. I really
I
do
do too.
like it. A lot of parity. It's just one of the most open years we've seen in a long, long time. And
You also
I
hear
think
from
it's better.
baseball, the Yankees win it every year. No, baseball's got they share the wealth more than anyone in the 21st century.
Well, I think when you talk about sports leagues, people will complain about anything. I don't have any issues with same teams winning it. I had no issues with it. That's where you get dynasties. That's where you get stories that are told once we get to the future. When we look back at the past, that's history
Yankees
made.
just won it twice in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm. Also, did you see what Robbie Anderson, wide receiver for the Panthers, put out on Instagram? There was a post that suggested they could be involved in the Baker Mayfield.
Deep, didn't it?
Yeah, it said that they could be involved in the Baker Mayfield trade talks, the Panthers. He commented, no, with about a dozen O's. And then there's a second post that highlighted the incident where he said no. And it said, Robbie has zero chill. He commented again, and he said, facts. So Robbie
didn't
Anderson,
back away. Good for him. He didn't back away. It was his own words.
He doesn't want Matt Rule in the front office to go get Baker Mayfield, to say the least.
We'll watch all the basketball tonight. Toronto at Philly. Jazz 2-0 on the road in Dallas. Could about end that series. Denver looking for the split in San Francisco. 7-2 Giants at Citi Field tonight against 7-3 Mets, and the Braves at Chavez Ravine versus the Dodgers. Hope Kershaw's rested.
Yep. Hope he is. Only 80 pitches. Hope that arm feels good going into tonight. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to David Cobb and to Michael Cole for their contributions to the program. For Brett, for Brian, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night and be safe. Enjoy the basketball. We'll holler at you tomorrow at 3.